Yeah, man.
All right, so on YouTube, it's going Donnie coming to you from Masao Japan Pinku Style Podcast. I've got a rare. I say all my guests are kind of special, but this is a really special guest because he's the only. We're one of two people in Japan that own real performance shops. Being them backed out and everything, they're doing regular stuff. Bill has done his thing for a long time, so Bill knows me. He's never questioned it, but it is the truth, man. Seth running this thing down there in Okinawa. And I have my thing up here in the mainland and everything. So it is a pretty prestigious, I guess, accomplishment considering we're in Japan, playing with all these Japanese guys and stuff like that. So it is what it is, and that we'll touch on business stuff later, man. But Seth, again, man, thanks for your time. I know you got a lot of stuff going on as you transition and stuff like military and all that stuff. We'll get into that if you want to touch on that and everything, man. So in a nutshell, man, how's everything lately? I was open with this. How's everything just been going lately, man, before we start getting into podcast stuff?
Man, it's just been crazy. I mean, you know how it is. It's like the cars never slow down. Life hasn't slowed down. You just keep working, man, like every day.
Yeah.
So
with that, man, it's what that is a big thing is I'm pretty sure, again, I guess we'll get it right to it, man, because again, we both run performance shops and everything. That's how we met, and we exchanged messages a while. Man, I forget how when we even met, maybe 5-6 years ago when we first started messaging each other. And naturally, I mean, it's naturally drawn because it's like you're seeking out like guys, and like, again, we're the only two guys. And there's a bunch of other home-based business dudes that are doing it out of the garage, and then as soon as some shit blows up, oh man, I was doing it for fun. There's those guys, and then it's like there's only you. I mean, again, Bill, he was here before us for a while, but again, he did his thing, and they're like, they're good on the whole. They got kind of tired of it, you know, and stuff like that, man. So far as your business, man, and everything, man, if you like to plug anything or where can people find you and stuff like that, man?
yeah, man. So we moved into the new shop not long ago down in Aruma in Okinawa. Finally went from the home business to the professional shop because it's hard to find space.
Yeah.
But yeah, down there in Aruma, we've been slammed with business, just like you.
Well, except for this remote tuning job you did right there.
Yeah. I had to take care of a rotary up in Tokyo, and I was like, well, this is my home office for the day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, partnered up with Reactive Fabrication, a retired Marine guy back in the States. He does all our manifolds for our turbo kits, and just been expanding, man. Like I never stop resting. Yeah. I'm always trying to build a business. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing a lot of guys don't realize. And when I get, for me personally, man, we talk messages here and there, man. And the biggest thing I kind of go up with guys a bunch is like when they throw that, hey man, when you got some free time, like there's never any free time, dude.
Right.
There's my time. Like it's either business or family, and you're not going to interrupt either one of those. And so a lot of guys here. I mean, it's like I'm 50-50, I would say. I just got some news the other day from a guy who, unsolicited, but people feel like there's a need to tell me when somebody's talking shit about my shop. I'm like, it's normally because they can't afford the labor. That's it. That's the only thing you can really talk about. Or that I'm very straight up. When you come to me, I'm like, hey man, let's cut the roll of bullshit. What do you want? This is what I'm going to do, and this is how much it's going to charge. And, you know, most people apply, and then you got guys that spend $30K plus, and they're happy as shit. And you got a guy who's trying to drag your name through the mud over something that would cost like $500.
I mean, I go through the same thing down there, man. And I did for years, right? Like, I've been accused of blowing up cars that I've never even seen before in my life. I'm like, dude, I've never built a Subaru engine down here, so I don't know how I could possibly blow up your engine.
No, you change a valve stem cap on it, man.
Right. No, but same thing as you, man. Like I just don't sugarcoat anything. Yeah. You know, and people can't handle that sometimes.
Right.
Is what I found. So yeah, it's real, but you know, I held to my guns, and I knew what kind of clientele I wanted and the kind of projects I wanted to do, and that's where the shop's finally kind of getting.
Yeah.
So
no doubt, man. Now speaking on that, like what was your path to Okinawa? How'd you come to go to Okinawa?
So I ended up in Okinawa with the military out there. Only one of two places I could be stationed because of my job that I used to do. And man, I just never left. Like I'd been trying to get to Japan forever, got there, stayed there, and I was like, I'm staying.
Yeah.
So now it's going good, man.
What year did you get here, man?
I got to Japan in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. Back when cars were still affordable. I think I paid like $8K for my first GTR.
Yeah. That's all right. So what was, when you first got here, man, what was the first car you picked up? Was it a GTR or?
It was a GTR. Okay. So I was always an all-wheel drive guy. I had Subarus, I had Evos. I loved my Evo. I still love Evos to this day. but I wanted the other one, right? I wanted to try the GTR. It's this legendary car you
Right.
heard of and everything else. And I'm not gonna lie, I was not impressed. Like for
Yeah.
me personally, I was not impressed. And I went back to my roots with rotaries.
And that's what I mean. That's what because you're good transitions, man. So the rotary stuff and like we'll talk on my GTR thoughts and everything. But for the rotary, like what was because I mean that's like if you say like your every shop. I mean the cool thing about your situation that I like is like rotary is what people see a lot, but you'll see you got the nice RB26 build you were doing not too long ago.
Yep.
There's some other stuff and everything, and like that's cool to be able. And I think that's an American trait that we have to be able to move around and not be. Again, I think we're both like Japan a little bit. You know, we've been here for a while, but we're not. We're American, and we have our American traits, our
Right.
American characteristics, our American flavor. Where everybody doesn't like rotaries, everybody doesn't have RB26, everybody don't have 2Js. Like I can work on anything, long as I got the FSM and the fucking tools to take it apart. I can work on it.
That's it right there. It's the FSM.
Yeah,
If you can read the book, man,
it's all there. There's no guessing game. Like, I mean, now I know Seth, like you've been doing it long enough where I've seen a few misprints in the FSM, and it's a known thing. Like, hey, don't try to torque it to 680 Newton meters. That's like wrong. And I was like, dude, I can't. I was like, bro, I asked my dude, like, you even got a torque wrist that reads that high? He's like, dude, that's a misprint. And he's like, it's a no misprint. And it's actually from a translated one. That's why it was misprint. But yeah, man, okay. It's like, for the rotary band. So you would naturally say, like, if you had to pick one, what would be like your staple? I mean, without.
Yeah, it'd definitely be rotaries. I mean, like, I think any shop that kind of specializes, I can do rotary engine with my eyes closed. I think I have every torque spec memorized at this point. So yeah, I mean, like, I'll take in rotor rebuilds, even if I don't have them on the schedule necessarily. If someone's just bringing me the block, and they just want the block rebuilt, I can usually knock that out in a couple days.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff, man. It's just like it's just cool that you can go to REM or whatever and like run and work in their shop no problem, and then like I also know RBs and 2Js and SRs and everything else that you guys they just don't even see it. It's like, and you know how it is here. Where they think, like, I think the Japanese style. I've been told this face to face with a Japanese guy. He was kind of bashful when he said it. I'm like, dude, what's the problem? He's like, he told me straight up, he doesn't feel comfortable bringing his car here because he sees a RB over there, a 2J right there, a rotary sitting on the table. It seemed he said pretty much it seemed like to Japanese that you're not proficient in one of them because you don't see rotaries all on the thing like that. I'm like, bro, when you take all that shit off the rotary, man, and you get the keg, it's actually really.
It's simple,
dude. And I was like blown away. I was like, bro, that's it. Like, I mean, just don't put the fucking thermal pedal in there on top of another one. Take the other one out and shit like that. I've seen people make those mistakes, and it's like, bro, just read. It says right there, extract the other one before you put the new one in.
You know what I tell people too, because I've had guys try and rebuild their own engine, and I've seen that rotary engine back in my shop with a new owner. In under a year. The rotary engine's super simple, right? Like you said, you take it apart. Once you get it down to the keg, super simple. But there are a million clearances that you need to know and set correctly to do it right. And man, there's all the seals in there, side seals, everything. And depending on what you're building that engine for, it may not be the FSM specs that you're actually clearancing those two.
Right. And that's where it gets into, like, when you look back at the because I feel like I'm kind of somewhat of and I think you were being the same thing, somewhat of a throwback mechanic where it's like everything is not there. There's like, you pull out a CP piston and it breaks down the chart. You got turbo nitrous, NA, blah blah blah. And for the most guy, you go in there. But if you see you're building something for yourself, you're going to run a boost up this high. You're going to make your gaps a little bit wider to overcome or take up or soak up that extra heat instead of being like just there. And then you turn the boost to 5 psi and they're on that budding, and now you got ring lens broken. Which people believe that when I get customers say, hey man, like, great, you got CP this, you got this and this, but it still can blow up, dude. Like if the parameters are not correct, and that's why I moved my shit back down to 30 days non-tampered as far as my warranty. Well, 60 days roughly. Actually, I was given longer than that. So my thing is 60 days non-tamper. You don't touch any settings. You don't touch a bolt. And if something goes wrong in there, I'll honor it. I never have to really do that because I know we're checking out shit. And but some guys, I did a really nice build in the 34, and he voided his warranty like the same day. They left the shop. Because he just was in that guy. It got so bad with this particular guy. It was an awesome build, man. One of the best ones I did, and I didn't even like. I got paid and I was done with it because the dude was just. He was that kind of guy where his pride couldn't let him release the car until I told him, hey man, don't stop by here, don't call me. Well, and then when I got done, normally when I do brakes on the car, dude, I do a check ride. When I do brakes,
right? Yeah, of course.
I did a full build from the ground up, M1, everything. And when a guy came, I gave him my like 1 hour breakdown. I was like, hey man, here's your keys. See you later. And then fucking 2 minutes,
Wow.
I would say I'm exaggerating, 2 minutes. 20 minutes later, hey man, the TPS is not connected on this. RB34 doesn't utilize the second TPS pickup. All right, man, thanks. And it just kept for like about a month or so, little dumb shit. Nothing about the great engine, nothing about the engine being amazing, just like little dumb shit that, I already discussed with him and everything. And that was like kind of for me the turning point of like knowing that it don't matter like, the amount of the work you do, man. And it's just people are kind of, certain people are just unpleasable. And I'm like, hey man, and I blocked the dude. I didn't even want to, it's just, you got that bad. I know the work was great, but it just,
I've had that, dude. I've had that so many times, brother. Like, I have customers that, I've got that white Hachi. I think that you saw me building when we converted over to full Haltech and everything not long. Great customer. The guy's awesome. Unfortunately, he bought that car and that engine was just the guy that tried to do it before.
Yeah.
The pistons dragging on the bore walls. Wow. Like it was bad, right?
It looked like scratches all up and down.
Yeah. So we had to, the block was almost unusable. Rebuilt that engine. Had to wire in the Haltech from scratch on this Hachi, which is not easy. And he's still having issues with the because of the old distributor, right? The old trigger pickup in there that we had to modify. So he's been super patient, but I feel bad when I do have jobs like that have to come back, and I'm like, man, it's nothing we did.
Right.
You need to drop some more money to upgrade to a modern trigger.
Yeah, that's just true, man. And that's I think I'm pretty sure, we have trials and tribulations. And again, guys listening, watching, this is going to be business heavy. We'll move into some other stuff, but of course we want to promote and talk about business. But and it's also for guys listening and watching. This is not two guys who own shops bitching about their customers. It's the real stuff. And the thing about it too, I'm pretty sure Seth ain't got a problem telling the dude, hey man, this is what's up. I definitely don't have that problem. And I think that's an issue that you'll get where some shops, they'll try to play the fucking kumbaya stuff until shit gets to that point. And when stuff does happen, dude, I've had things happen, not catastrophic, but things happen, and guys are just chill because I didn't try to hide or say, hey man, you're never gonna have fucking issues, man. This is the best shop in the world, and blah blah. Like shit happens, bro. Clamps come loose when you go on a fucking 2 hour drive. I'm only taking your car to the track and maybe like 10-minute drive. I'm not putting hours on it. So when you come back, I come with my long screwdriver because I've set everything where I can reach it with the manifold on, and I go through the manifold and screw the fuck out. It's because we know what the fuck we're doing versus a rookie who will put the band clamp against the firewall. How are you going to get a screwdriver on that? You can't. You can't get it from the bottom. You can't get it from the side or top. So it's like this little.
Just dealt with this, man.
Yeah, bro, it's little shit like that where that's why you're paying us, man. So when guys, when I first opened, that first 2 years, I wouldn't allow them to negotiate, but I would kind of explain why they're paying so much. Now I don't. The price is $33K.
Right.
I don't want to talk to your fucking wife or your bank owner. I just don't.
Right.
And I hate to be like that, but I had to get like that because it made some customers feel like maybe they can bargain and shit. I'm like, dude, I guarantee you, man, me and Seth doing top notch work. You're gonna take our invoices and go to fucking Ariama Mia, go to Top Secret, go to MCR, and that shit's gonna be fucking 2 times that price, guaranteed. And it's just one of those things where I know what it is, and I've actually kicked my rates up, and it's like I'm not apologetic about it. It's risky because I could not get customers, but I keep getting guys somehow, dude. I don't know how.
Well, I mean, I had to too, and I love working on the cars. I do it for the cars, right? And I do have that kind of empathetic side because the entire reason I can do what I did is because I was too poor to pay a mechanic back in the day. I had to teach myself, right? I want to drive. So like I do try and help these guys out if I can. If I can't, I can't. But I had to raise my prices because I got an 8-month waiting list, man. Like,
dude, that right. I'm pretty certain. Again, I don't even. It's like it's nice to talk to business owners because I know we go through the same shit, man. The same shit daily, probably at the same time where I had to tell guys recently. I'm like, hey man, you seem like you're in a rush, man. Come pick up your parts and you can go somewhere else. And straight up like that, and they'd be like, "Oh no, I'll wait." And the fact that you hit them like that means like you're, because I don't like yes, dude. We're businesses. The consumers need a business. We need the consumers. You know what I'm saying? in some facet. If you're selling
Yep.
something, you need somebody to buy it, or you're like, fuck, time to really. But when you get to the point where you know, what I mean, the guys are kind of like trying to push you around. It's like, bro, I'm doing you a favor, like getting you in here early. I mean, trying to get you in here early, because I tell guys too,
Right.
the only way I move on to you is if I got a customer to stand still and like, hey man, I can call you up. So I always have about 2 to 3 in reserve that I can call up at any time and say, hey man,
Yep.
I'm waiting for pistons for this bill for fucking 2 months. They got here, and now they're the wrong size pistons, like the Z I'm working on, and I've been I emailed the customer like, hey man, like this is the company doing this, is not me, and everything, and we'll be done and everything. And he's been chill, dude. Like he's, you know, and he's not even, he got another car. Those are the best ones too. I'm pretty sure you can agree, man. The ones that don't have only one car, because they, or access to one car, because they can actually drive some other shit.
The one car, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Because like I want to feel like I'm getting their car in and out, because I know they only have one car.
Yeah.
So no, man. I think my internet just dropped a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's all good. It drops. So
but yeah, man, trying to take care of the customers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all do. I mean, it's, and then you add in the military part of it too, man. Like I think that's why I know the big separation is between us and any other shop is like, you know what I mean, myself, again, and I don't know how much you want to go in detail or what you could talk about with your job. I was a regular secret clearance type of job. I did vehicle ops, logistics, spent a lot of time in Iraq, 3 tours, and, you know, IEDs, explosions, all that shit, man, like movie shit. And, you know, it is, you know, I got my VA rating, and I talked to a doctor yesterday actually about upgrading my rating, because shit ain't getting better. I thought it would get better, but it ain't, you know, it is what it is. And it's you're dealing with dudes who are doing shit that were like, because people don't understand. They think all the military are all doing the same shit, and we're not. We all do the same shit, and some of us are around more danger and shit than others. And so even within the military, there's separation. So now you're going into the civilian side, and then they hold. You know, I don't sleep a lot, and I use that to run the shop. And you can speak on your situation if you want, but the you're dealing with, like, you know, combat guys running a performance shop, so you're getting a whole different look than you're possibly going to get from anybody else. And then we're in Japan too, so I mean, on your thing, man, how's your military career influenced? Or
yeah, I had a great career.
Yeah.
I started out as like a SATCOM guy for the first 5 years, and then I went to the qualification course and became a Green Beret, Special Forces operator.
Gotcha.
Did that for 15 years before I retired. So yeah, it went good. I do the same thing. I don't sleep hardly at all. Right. So I use it to work on the shop and improve my skills. It's how I can do like 3D modeling, because I taught myself how to do it while I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't like be out working because the kids are asleep in the house, so you're just kind of sitting there in the dark on your laptop.
It's like,
what am I teaching myself?
Always something, man. And I think that's the separation. And then people, like, I'm pretty sure you get it, man. Like I get them every once in a while. It must, like, out of the blue, buddies who I had in the past who at one time we were pretty close, and I get the random ass "it must be nice" post, like random ass "it must be nice" message. I'm like, dude, I haven't talked to you in 10 years, and this is how you know, re-engage all conversation. Like, it must be nice. I'm like, yeah, it fucking actually is pretty nice, man. You know what I mean? I went through the military shit, which I didn't come from military family, friends, nothing. I had one guy who was Air Force, and actually I thought he had money because Air Force turned out he had money. He got some money from family stuff. So I was like, fuck, you get that much? You could buy a this, and this. CJ, you know what I'm talking about. It's no secret. Yep. Motherfucker had an ARC-8 when it came out. The Mustang, I mean, first week. I'm like, oh shit, like, he was a calm guy. I'm like, but he didn't tell me it was from he got money from somewhere else. So I joined the Air Force, you know, based on that, because I didn't know that the fucking E5 was the E5, and then, you know, they're all the same. I mean, BH and some other shit get in there, but E5 is E5. So I, you know, and I was going to the Marines first before I got my scholarship, and I went to college for about 3 years. And when I got out towards the end, the reason I joined the Air Force, honestly, because I had 3 shots to get to mainland or get to Japan. Mm-hmm. That was the only reason. And also I had a Marine buddy. I had multiple Marine buddies. They were like, dude, I know you got the which come for the Marines and all that shit right there. But he was like, I'm in Okinawa and I fucking hate life because they couldn't get a car the first year. This guy actually, his tour was so bad that he actually got out of cars, like, completely. Like, that whole 4 years there. And he was all into it. That's 13 guy. and he's like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And he also, his job was I think he was like admin or something like that. So that totally was not what he thought. He thought the Marines were going to be, other shit. So when he's like, "Dumb in a fucking office getting paper cuts and shit," and I'm a Marine, that's not, you know what I mean? So the guys that are listening and watching, dude, they're all the jobs you guys got out there, accountants and all that shit, they're in the fucking military, and somebody got to do it. So you're working.
Hey man, it doesn't matter which job too. I was Green Beret and I still did paperwork almost every day.
100%. 100%. So on that, man, because I mean, you're definitely the very first Green Beret I've had on a podcast, man. How was the selection process? And as much as you could talk about, how was the selection process and your decision to go for the Green Berets?
Selection process was tough, and it's hard to describe because they change it all the time.
Right.
But the biggest thing is, you got to be in shape. Yeah. I was young and ready to go. Lots of decision making under high stress kind of situations, and then sleep deprivation, of course, sleep and food dep, just not being able to function hardly and being told, all right, it's 8 mile run, go. Or, hey, get your rucksack, weighs 65 pounds, walk until we tell you to stop as fast as you can. And that's the thing with it. Everything is ambiguous. Nothing is like you're going to ruck for 12 miles and be timed. It's just walk.
Right.
And so it really becomes a gut check on yourself. And not evaluating yourself. I screwed up that run. I didn't keep up with this guy over here. And because they're looking at the whole man concept, they want to see if you are a good character.
Right.
So yeah, the selection was tough, man. And you go into the 2 years of the qualification course, where you learn all your specialties, your specialty job and your language and everything like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, I can just tell by the look on your face, man. Is a loaded. This is one of those things where, because I watch a lot of like Jocko and all these guys out there at the podcast, and they're pretty much SES guys and SPF guys, and it's like when they talk about it, and when the guys ask the question, just like you did, it's like all that shit that you did flashes back, like fuck, dude. And I can see it on your face, like I mean, all I had was pretty much basic, and then I did BC three times, which is pretty much like a 2 month or 2.5 month deal before Iraq to get you spun up and everything. And pretty much once you go through it the first time, that's like the hardest time. But after that, you know what to expect, and you're fucking teaching the fucking instructors pretty much, because the instructors, I'm not sure how it was for the Green Beret, but I'm pretty sure they're all prior guys. They've all been through it themselves to qualify to get through it. It would only make sense. But the instructors at our thing were guys from our own career field, and most of those guys they selected that position as a way not to go to Iraq. So there was a little bit of resentment, right, because we were the guys going back and forth. I went 3 times in 3 years, pretty much 9 months back to back. And I was with the first battalion out of Erfjord, but we did our thing up there and everything. So we were attached to the Army, and we had the lingo they used was Air Force. We had the Manning, because our career field was like overmanned, and the mission was just pretty much picking up pilots and shit and doing local runs in transportation. And then the Army had all the M915s and all this shit, but no personnel. So they borrowed us for like 2003, 2002 when the shit finally kicked off. And they were shocked that the Air Force is not and I've been told, dude, like I've been told by leaders, dude, like, do you need to relax? Like, you kind of like Marine style, and because I don't joke around, I don't fuck around, I don't look like an Air Force guy, and I didn't get asked to come out to gatherings. People respected me, but I was not, I was not. I did my shit, dude. So I got the warrior shit or whatever twice in training, man. Just like I just was about the fucking mission and doing what I gotta do. All to buy car parts. All my shit was about do as good as I can get to fucking get money and rank up to get car parts. And I was driven on that, man. So with the Air Force thing, some guys that are listening might be Marines, Army, and everything. Air Force is unlike the Marines and Army, where there's no culture. Your career field is your culture. So vehicle ops, which is L guys, cops, CE, the guys that deploy a lot, and the flight line guys are totally different than your admin guys and your services guys, and they got nice nails and pedicures and manicures and shit, and we don't even. I'll tell you the truth, man. I'm kind of rambling right here, but I remember being in Iraq. We was on the road for about 12-hour push, middle of Iraq. We going to Sather, up in Bayup and everything, and we were away for EOD for about 4 hours to blow up the shit, and like we falling asleep, taking turns falling asleep. M915 up armored and all that stuff like that. And we get to the fucking the fob and everything, and we go like to the fucking the DFAC chow hall, whatever you want to call it. Our own fucking Air Force chief tells us we can't come in there because we're scaring the Air Force people. We're fucking. It says U.S. because we got our M4s. We're scruffy. We got our fucking ABSGs on because we were wearing ABSGs for the flame retardant shit. So we didn't look nothing like Air Force other than U.S. Air Force on our thing, our tape. And the fucking chief came out. Then you got a tech E6 arguing with a fucking E9 about getting my guys in the chow hall. And I love that shit because yeah, it's a chief, right? It's E9, but I like the operational part of it where rank is cool. But when you're fucking boots on the ground, man, and that fucking E4 knows the route, the E6 guy shut the fuck up because he's the one that's going to keep us alive, man. So I love that part of Iraq, man. I told the master sergeant like not to shut the fuck up, but I'm like, dude, I know the fucking routes, dude. Like, chill. Like this is your first tour. This is my second one, and going on my third one, and I like that part of being operational where I felt like I was directly doing my job, man, versus being back home and processing a bunch of paperwork and shit, man. So on your thing, man, how was what part of the military did you enjoy the most, man?
Dude, for us, the big thing is, our 12-man teams are like family.
Right.
We live together and breathe together. Like we know each other's wives, kids, everything, right? There are no secrets on the team, really. Right. And that's probably the coolest thing, man, is like when we went to Afghanistan, we do our train up, which for us, the train up was basically, here's a ton of bullets, bombs, and go have fun on the range for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do that. You do like your free fall train ups, things like that, right, to get proficient again in all your skills that you need. And then we go over to Afghanistan. What's cool is I got to do back in the day what they called RDS or CDSTL, which now is VSO. Well, now it's nothing because Afghanistan. But we basically lived in the village, so I got to actually experience the culture. I lived with the people every day. I didn't stay on a fob.
Right.
So it was a good time, man. And we got out there and we got to do some good work. Moved all over Afghanistan out west, and then we were up at the up by Iran for a long time during that deployment. So, but I mean, the rest of what I did, I kind of got into a different line of work within special forces, and I spent a lot of time in Asia. I've worked all in Thailand, Cambodia, places like that. So it's been a good life, man.
Yeah, man. I guarantee there's. I mean, and that, again, I don't even want to even bring because classified stuff, things like that, man. And I can imagine because I mean I can just comparing mine, which again it was not. We did some things where it was like, hey man, definitely don't take pictures of that shit and don't post that or whatever. Take pictures of everything else, but not this trailer or Connex worth of shit. Because we pretty much our mission was resupply. So we resupply everything, rockets, ammunition. Right. It was myself as an LVC that told battalion in the talk like, hey man,
I know that guy.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how I'm running. But I was like, I'm pretty sure that we shouldn't put this ammunition on the first truck. It was like, and that was cool. It was like, notice like that we were boots on ground saying, because normally it's not the very first truck because I was LVC my second year. I was I was the driver for the convoy commander the first year. Second year I was LVC, and my third year I was ACC, which is second in command of the convoy. About 58 trucks and things like that. And again, once you get out the wire, man, we didn't have the team. I guess it's nothing like the teams, but we had a convoy team, but it wasn't like when we got back to the Air John, I never seen this dude to the next fucking mission because we didn't really get along type shit.
Right.
What I mean? Where I know you guys, you have, it's like, it's different. So that's what I mean. Even within our Air Force, our convoy team, is like, I don't like this guy because he's fucking lazy. This guy's always trying to skip on shit. And I was just trying to get up there and do the mission and get back and do what we had to do, man. So, but it was still a cool thing where within the Air Force, outside of like your SEER guys and your PJ, the PJ guys, they do different things and everything. But we were more like operational than they were, believe it or not. Their training was extensive, but we were like boots on the ground outside the wire. Like getting fucking airstrikes in. And my first moment on the fire actually came from Marines. My first time being fired at was we were up in TQ and they didn't answer the fucking radio and we were coming in there land. And they were like we kept trying to call, hey, we're entering this AO, we're entering this AO. Nothing on the fucking radio. And next thing you see is fucking tracers and shit, man. Like, what the fuck?
You know, it's crazy, man. That kind of stuff happens more often than I think a lot of people realize. We had the same thing kind of happen to us. We were chasing some dudes through the desert that had just burned down a school for girls that we had built. Got to this other village. They beat us there because, you know, we're in the RGs. We can't move across the desert like they could in their mopeds.
Right.
Across country.
Yeah.
But so we hit this village and we had our ISR, you know, looking overhead and everything. And they're like, oh, they're right here. They're right here. Turn left on this street. All right, now they're turn right and you're going to see them, you know, talking to us over the radio.
Right.
Well, 82nd Airborne Infantry had come into the village from the other side.
Shit.
And their ISR was reporting us as insurgents and our ISR was reporting them as insurgents. So they actually walked us into each other while we were hunting. And I'll tell you what, you've never been scared till you round the corner and see like a platoon of 82nd Airborne pointing their guns back at you.
Yeah, dude. It's like I can't fucking imagine that shit, bro. I know that shit happened.
Same team.
Yeah. And it's like, it's really because, I mean, you guys are training with your teams doing different things, and there's like no universal like fucking hand signal and say, oh, dude, same team or whatever. I mean, between the teams, I know there's communication and things that you guys do to identify, hey, man, I'm the good guy. But when you're, you know, for example, we know, I mean, this is stuff that's unclassed, you know, there's things where teams will wear like different uniforms to blend in or do different things. So it's like, is that a fucking towel hit or is that, we don't fucking know, man. So one thing for us, the biggest thing for us in my convoys was the they were called SOA, SOI or whatever the fucking Sons of Iraq or whatever. Yeah. So there was a fucking bridge, and that bridge name would change. Like it would be like the fucking Irish bridge, or it would be like the Italian bridge, because the bridge was named whoever was manning it. And there was this one bridge where if it got blown out, I mean, we had to go in the sand, and we did have to go in the sand one time, and that was the first time I almost had to like draw my fucking weapon above my waist to almost fire on somebody, man, because there was this one fucking Suburban that I seen kept fucking circling around, same one, because he was missing a hubcap. So you know they got the same color cars, which fucking sucks. And you're like, is that the same fucking Caprice? Or was that the same fucking? But no, this hubcap was gone on this one side, so I know it's the same guy. So every time they would circle, they would get closer and closer. We had to walk our whites, which our whites we call them TCNs because they drive the white trucks. We had to walk the whites into the thing. We had to get on boots on ground because these motherfuckers would go out into the desert and shit. And we're like, hey man, stay this way, go this way. And this dude kept circling and shit, and I'm watching, and we were too far. We don't have radios outside of our trucks. And my guy Nichols, and he was kind of a heavy set boy, and I think that's why when they seen how big he was, they kind of backed off because they kept circling, and when the side they kept circling into was it was three guys, a driver, one in the back seat, and there was an empty seat, and like they were trying to fucking open the door, pull them in, because you know we got the strap on the back of our shit, you know, like they know they see that strap to help pull guys out, and all they had to do was open the door and fucking pull the guy into the truck. But I'm like, when they seen how big he was. And then I'm like, so they kind of backed off, and then I was screaming, Nichols, like turning, because he kind of was a cool guy, but his situational awareness was not. And again, not on point. And that's where like we had a split where some guys really took our training serious, and other guys were just there to collect the check and do their thing and everything. But he wasn't really like on that level, and he didn't see the fucking truck circling and getting closer and hearing the engine. So I was about to fucking send some shots off you, because I raised up, and the dudes like we made close enough to make eye contact and everything, and I'm screaming Nichols, and then he turned around, and then they fucking just jetted off out into the desert and shit. And that's that intersection. I forgot what it's fucking called, man. I should remember it, but I kind of brain dump. But that intersection is where they would do an ambush every time, and there's an intersection, and they would ambush right there, and it's fucking, that's where a lot of kidnappings happen right there and shit on MSR Tampa. But shit like that, man. Just, you know, kind of stories and stuff, man, was you know, I mean, we were like, that was the biggest threat for us, was doing that. We had combat locks on the M915s and shit, and everybody else. We had the MRAP Swifters. We had about 58 trucks per convoy, split by 4 gun trucks. You had one out front, about 50 meters, and then you had some guys sprinkled in and everything. I actually got the fucking shit on my tattoo on my fucking arm, the firing fucking sector and shit. Kind of lame, but whatever. You know what I mean? That we always had to see that. So we had those guys out there and everything. So we just helped them engage guys. So that's what I did. We never were, if we were firing out fucking M4s, there was some bad shit going on, because we were told not to get out the trucks, there was no reason. You know, what I mean, your firepower was, not superior to the saw and the fucking the 50 cal. So just stay in the truck. You know, what I mean, keep pressing out the danger zone and stuff like that. But we definitely had lasers and shit, and we had the go lights so you could shine them out.
Yep.
I'm actually still trying to find a fucking NSM for go lights because those things were fucking amazing, dude. Like how far they shine out. So we had the go lights on a little trigger.
Just put them in security around your shop, man.
Dude, I got, dude. That's what I'm saying. I got a floodlight here. All I needed was like 2 go lights, and that shit will light up the whole thing. But we had to put the go lights on the dude, and I've seen like 50 cals blow some shit away and everything, and then it's like it's wild because you see that happen. You know somebody fucking died out there and they deserved it, and then you go back to the fob and you're like, hey man, so you wanna get chow? And it's just like that shit's like weird as fuck, bro. Like, and I know you've been in way more stuff. It's wild.
I mean, I think that's why veterans as a whole, right? I'm going through a lot of my retirement stuff, a lot of my medical, like you and me have talked a bit about that. But you don't realize that it's not normal, I think, to like civilians and outside people, because it's a culture.
Right.
That combat veterans have experienced and lived with.
Yeah.
And so it is normal for us.
Right.
That entire thing you're talking about. But the other thing too is, it's not like the movies.
Oh, dude.
And when I say that, I mean, it's like everyone sees the movies and it's like this huge firefight and like everything happens at once and everyone responds. The first time I ever got shot at, I didn't even know we were getting shot at. Right. I was like, they're like, hey, they're shooting us. I was like, who's shooting at us? Like, I'm just walking around still.
Yeah.
So, it's different. It's weird, man. It's just an experience that you can't replicate anywhere. Right. Yeah. And I think it changes your threshold for adrenaline. You're never going to get that rush like you get from that.
Yeah.
I think the closest I ever got was being completely reckless racing my Panigale back at VIR North. But blowing past my brake markers at 197 miles an hour, like an idiot. Was that a 4?
Yeah. With that, man, it's just like the and then it's again we got. It was wild, dude. It was wild being in the Air Force during that time, man. Because we got to a point where now they're telling I got out 2012. That last 2 years, we did 2011 was when everything kind of was shutting down and everything, and they were pulling out and stuff like that. So I did my 2011 was my last tour. Last time I ever fired a weapon. I was on that. When's the last time you ever fired it? You fired a weapon, man, like stateside or military wise?
Oh, I think it was December last year is the last time I fired.
Fuck, man. I miss shooting, man. But I haven't fired since 2011. Like, that was the last time I fired anything, and that was like a saw or some shit. But
our organization's really good about kind of giving us that last year, that 19 to 20 year off.
Okay.
I haven't been in the office in like 3 months, I think, man. I've just been at the shop working, and everyone just kind of leaves me alone.
Yeah.
So
good shit, man. That's one thing with that stuff is like, is people see it as privileges, and kind of going into that, you'll probably have guys like, well, how the fuck does he get off? Like, because he was doing some other shit that you weren't doing. He was doing some shit, that puts his life in danger and all his guys around him and everything. And also the mission is, so, I mean, it just like everything in the life, man, people want to have this fucking everything's fair shit. Some people are doing bigger shit, man. And that's just the case. And when they realize and respect that, man, it's like, hey, man, this guy has been fucking pounding for this many years. Let's give like this time off. What is it going to hurt? He's not operational right now.
That's a good transition, man. Because like, I pushed hard, just like I'm sure you did, just like I know a lot of people out there are doing, and neglected a lot of my medical. You know what I mean?
Dealing with it.
And now, I finally went to that polytrauma center I told you about back in California, where they did full workup on me and everything. And man, I didn't realize it, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of taking a step back from the shop a little bit, which this is my customer's first time hearing that. But I'm bringing in one of my old mechanics. He's coming back to Japan, so he's going to take over day to day for me. But I got 4 herniated discs in my neck. I got no feeling left in my right hand. Like, and it's actually making it hard. I got to like cradle turbos when I carry them, because I don't want my hand to open and accidentally drop like a customer's turbo or something like that. So, it took a toll, man. And, if there's anyone out there listening that is a veteran or is in service right now, like don't neglect your medical.
Don't.
Because you'll end up dealing with the VA eventually, and it's not fun. It's better to have it straight.
Yeah, and then like one thing, advice I would give guys is don't, And I know it's, you know, it depends on the culture of your job and everything. And one thing with my career field is like everybody do. I can just kind of go back and not rushing everyone. My first day in shop, I thought the air, I joined the Air Force for Japan, and then I got to my first duty station in Andrews. I had no idea I didn't think about none of the fucking, Afghanistan, Iraq, none of that shit. The guys open up. So when I go into my shop, I'm thinking like it's gonna be like dudes, this and this and blah blah blah. Man, I go into the shop and the first thing I hear is my guy Cartier. Who the fuck didn't sign this off on this? I'm like, oh shit, this is the Air Force? Like my first 5 minutes in the shop, the dude had a fucking halo on. Like what the fuck? Why does he have a halo on? Because I didn't know not months, but some months prior he got thrown out of fucking Madus. Like they had the improvised gun trucks back then. And they hit the fucking shit. He got hit by fucking IED. Fucking thing flips end over end. Him and my guy Abernathy, who just actually retired. Yeah, man. Cartier he got medical. He was actually at his about 19, and they let him ride it out in dispatch. Just like they was, hey man, you just stay here and fucking answer phones, man. There's Roger last year out. Get you in Cartier. I still talk to him here and there. But it's like, and then I'm like, what the fuck? And then like I see the other dude in the corner, the smooth black guy, and you got this guy over there. Then all of our civilians were fucking prior Vietnam dudes. Like all of them. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? The guy is sitting at the table with a K-bar, like twisting it. I'm like, who the fuck's this dude? Oh, that's Rome, man. He's a fucking ate up, retired. And all he talk about is fucking Vietnam. And then we had another guy. We had a fucking gunny. There was a gunny at the table. The other guy retired. Mr. Johnny he wear fucking like 65, jacked as fuck, bro. Like I'm like, who the fuck are these dudes, man? And then like so. For me, I'm already like a strong-minded guy. But to get around those guys in the first, that was like the best thing, man, because it set in course that the Air Force ain't this all like, hunky-dory shit. It's all about the culture. And then all those guys in that room I didn't know had already been to Afghan, open up Iraq and everything. So they went up there in TQ and shit. They were side by side with the Army. And even the Army guys were like shocked that, Air Force guys picked up the training. So we did our first training. We were embedded with the Army. So they were like, hey, man, you got to get on board with this, wear out stuff, do this and do that. So our career field, although we were Air Force, our characteristics, what I learned was Army, Marine type shit because we did a lot of joint tasks with those guys. So you pick up characteristics from who you've been trained by. And like I said, going back to what I said in the beginning, man, we were disliked. And then when we were in Iraq and everything, Kuwait, we were told to tone it down. On our you come back from the fucking road, we survived another mission, over 40 missions I did, and you're just amped about getting back, and like it's a different kind of thing, and you're talking about the shit and what happened. Then the dudes who didn't fucking make the teams, they're like feeling kind of left out, and we were like, hey man, it's your fault because you failed out. All right, this is the way it works. And for the guys who don't know, BC3s I did, it's called Basic Combat Convoy Course. And if you fucking can't get through training with an XO3 simulated IED and you're fucking freaking out, leaving your shit, can't set the fucking LZ, can't do this, can't do that, why the fuck we gonna take you on the road with us? And that's what happened. Yeah. That's what happens.
You logistics guys too, you didn't get the credit that you guys really deserve. Like on the Army side, the 88 mics, right? Yeah. Same job.
Yep, same job. Yep.
You guys were out there moving all those supplies up and down those roads. There's a lot of those guys, man. A lot of you logistics guys, people don't realize saw more combat than a lot of the infantry guys.
I was shocked.
It's just the way it was, man, because they were attacking all our supply channels, right? Yeah. So you guys were like target number one.
Yeah, and then we had a good rapport with the 88 mics over there because we were in the same same commanders calls, same everything. We just had out. They were all Army trucks. They weren't our fucking trucks, but they were of course allotted to the Air Force part of it. But the TOC was a TOC Air Force, and you had all of the leadership were in the same TOC. Everybody's in the same TOC. They didn't want to separate this shit because it would cause separation. So they were, right. There was the Air Force on this side, the Army on this side, but everybody was like, hey man, what's up with this mission? You guys want to take this? All right, we'll take this. We'll drop this. Our guys are hungry. Our guys want to go out. Your guys are winding down. Let us take the mission. You guys are in your fucking 12th month or 11th month. Chill. And they were cool with that shit. They were like, oh, fuck, you want to take the mission to TQ? Go ahead, man. So we were like, fuck it. Dude, we were like, because for us, we don't, we were more eager to do it because you don't naturally see that. You don't do that. So we had guys that wanted to get after it. We had guys that went from there to PJ, and they were just using that shit as like training. So I mean, they get off the mission, they just fucking running, and then go right into PJ. Because one guy, particular guy, Vites, he had washed out of PJ once, and then he was like, I think he said some shit like one push up or something. He was right there, and fucking couldn't complete whatever it was the task. So he was motivated as fuck. Kind of annoying to be around because he was on a different. He was training for fucking PJs. So the shit that people was bitching about and the PT, he was like, bro, get the fuck out of the way, man. He's running around with he got a fucking rucksack on every day. So you had characters like that, man, that were looking to go into the Air Force Special Ops and things like that. And I was just like, for me, I just wasn't intimidated. I knew the task, I knew the mission, and it was also, man, to be. I didn't even dream of doing this shit. I did, and seeing the things I did, being Air Force, like I just was far from my mind. I thought I was gonna be fucking around jets. I never actually been doing that stuff, dude. I never even flown on a military aircraft before.
Really?
Never. And I'm fucking Air Force.
Wow.
So that makes you, and I know you've been on plenty. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I've been on C-17s and loaded them up, but I never flown on a military aircraft my whole career, 6 years in.
It's overrated.
Yeah, I heard, man. I heard it's like being in a car with like a gutted Civic or some shit. Like, it's, yeah. But yeah, man, dude. So I know you went back and dude, I'm gonna clip this whole section as just being like, military shit. So I know you went back recently, not too long ago. Like, what, your son joined?
Yeah. My son just graduated basic training.
Yeah. What's his MOS?
He's trying out for EOD.
Okay.
But unfortunately, the Army EOD's got like a 98% washout rate.
Shit.
So he was part of the 98%. Unfortunately for him, but he picked up another career field as a combat medic, and he's getting ready to graduate that now.
Okay.
I'm actually flying him out to Japan in December.
Okay.
And then taking him down to the Philippines for New Year's Eve to my buddy's white party at one of the clubs that he owns.
Yeah, man.
So it'll be his first trip to Asia at 20 years old.
You got
I'm gonna take him to. I don't think he does.
Good.
He's about to.
Good. Yeah. Good, man.
But yeah, I'm fortunate. One of my buddies, I'm actually headed up there after this, but my buddy owns one of the hottest clubs in the country.
Oh.
And my other buddy's the DJ there, so we're gonna go do that. But I'm gonna take him there for New Year's and just let him loose. Yeah,
man. It's with that stuff, man. That's all. I mean, that's. I just got my boys riding dirt bikes, man, and like every little my one boy did a jump the other day, and I was like just fucking elated. And it's like that's the whole shit when you forget your toughness and the macho and the trying to look cool type shit. Because it's like I don't know why I do that shit in Japan because I'm not in Baltimore. So, I it's like I have a certain kind of like awareness about me and all that stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, this fucking Obachon over there picking up flowers and shit. Like, relax, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I think it's good. I was talking to like I said, I had my CMP yesterday with my doctor. And we just went over. I got my rating back in 2018, and this was like an upgrade. So he was like, "So has it got even better?" I was like, "I don't think so, dude." I start breaking down shit. He's like, "Yeah, you actually got worse." And I was like, not trying to ham it up, but I was just like, "Hey, man." Then it was cool because he was asking me, "Hey, man, what happened recently?" And I told him about the Tsukuba shit, the track shit. I'm like, that was a small thing, right? But I'm thinking about fucking coming back from Iraq and volunteering to help out for the earthquake shit, and I didn't take leave. I didn't take any leave until like 5-6 weeks after we got back and everything. And I was like, I gave him my leave time to fucking help out and do different things and blah, 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 save dudes' lives. And I can't fucking drive in your event because I'm non-speaking. I'm like, change that non-speaking to Gaijin because that's what you really mean. And
we've talked about the, there's a lot going on in America, right? Racism's a hot topic across the board in the world, but a lot of people don't realize like Japan is can be very systematically racist. Right. There's really no other way to put it. So as a Gaijin, and I think that's why people, they hear us talk about us owning our performance shop in Japan, and it is a big accomplishment, man, to own a business as a foreigner in Japan, especially a successful business. Because it's hard, man. There's roadblocks in front of you all the time.
I was told to get married, and then like the first time I went to get my first shop, I was told to get fucking married, man. And this video in the background is like from like one of my second tours, or whatever. But it's a go light right there, fucking going off, and the go light sucks when it runs away from you though. You can't control it. But the fucking all that dirt and shit on the contacts, so you had to take contacts out and clean them off and shit. But yeah, man, I went to the shop and I was trying to get the lease. Walked in there, dude was like some Yakuza like looking motherfucker, And he was like, yeah, he's like, is that your wife right there? And we're at the time we just started dating, and I took her there because obviously I don't speak full Japanese. And he was like,
Right.
yeah, he was like, not married, not giving you a lease, straight up. And I respected him for that, but he was kind of a dick too.
Right.
And then I'm like, all right, cool. So we left out of there, and I was like, well, fuck. And then a whole year passed, and then we came back again. I seen somebody had rented it out a week after I got it, and the dude folded the business within 6 months. Some Japanese cat.
Mm.
And then we were driving back, and luckily we took this road because I seen that we didn't go down that road, man. Honestly, it's wild how fucking events happen. I know it's happened a ton of times in your life, and it's happened to me a ton of times where if you don't do something to meet somebody, it's like your life could be kind of totally different. We went down this road and shit, and the same thing with the house we live in actually too. Went down this road, and it was a windy day, and those garage Japans where you got the split doors, the little
Yep.
So the door was split, and the wind blew it off the mooring. So I seen the shit I seen the door swinging. So I went over there and shit. And I looked inside, it was fucking empty. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought the dude was here. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, tomorrow we gonna come here and ask this guy about this and everything and shit. And we were married at this time about this way, naturally, not forced because he said so. We go in there, and I was like, yeah, this is my my wife and everything. Straight up, dude. Within 5 minutes, all right, cool. You want how much? This is how much rent's gonna be. This and this. I'm like, that fucking easy. It's that easy because I got a wife and something attaching me to Japan, which in a business aspect I understand because there was some Gaijins that start up businesses, get the loan and bounce out and everything. So they're really hard on that shit. And I understand why they're apprehensive, and I got my own rules and shit like that. But it was just shocking to see how quick he was ready to do work and everything now that we're married and shit. And that's all. I mean, I'm pretty sure you had a lot of experiences like that in Japan. Oh, man. Start with all in Japan, man. Your time again, we love it here and everything, man. I'll say, what was your first eye-opening thing that they don't really care about, like anybody other than Gaijin, other than Japanese?
It was funny. Like I already knew it. Kind of, my wife was Japanese, so
Right.
I had that experience, and like her mom, the hardcore Japan pride. Like everything in Japan is better.
Yeah.
But it was actually up in Aomori, man. Me
Really?
and a buddy were up there, and we went to go just get ramen. Gaijin Ganai. Like they wouldn't even let us in the restaurant because we were Gaijin.
Which restaurant? Which restaurant was it?
Dude, I don't even remember, bro.
Yeah.
We were just hungry.
Were you around by like the bar road, like around by the bars?
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. That whole area, like I've been here 15 years. I've been down there 4 times. I don't drink. And that whole thing being down there with a bunch of guys with liquid courage, because Air Force, Marine, Army, it don't fucking matter when dudes start drinking and they're young. They just yeah. So when the first
dude, it wasn't even late. It was like 5 p.m.
Yeah,
like we were just trying to get ramen.
Yeah. That whole area, man, is all they're wild. That's like the worst of the worst down there. So I've heard that. That's why I asked. That's probably an Army crew right there going in on the bus, man. So everybody you go to Gaijin, go to what you call the processing and shit like that. So the yeah, man, that shit's wild. And I experienced it actually my first my first couple months here. The first couple months I just got my R33, and I'm not sure I was not in Okinawa when I got my first car. I just was fucking exploring everywhere, man. I was driving everywhere and shit, and finding all the little roads and trying to find toge and stuff like that. And I found this I was just driving. I seen this guy with a bunch of DR30s at the time, and it was weird that I came to own one. But it was a bunch of Nissans, and I didn't know protocol. I thought, oh shit, as a car guy, we're cool. And that motherfucker came out the shop like dame, like Udus, like he was just like fucking like doing the whole this type of shit, and like Udus,
Right.
and I don't know what the fuck else he was saying at the time, man. But yeah, dude, he was like pretty much go the fuck away, and I was like, wow.
Well, dude, actually, it's funny you bring up car shops. That was actually one of my first experiences there in Okinawa. There was a car shop, and I'd hit up Bill. I didn't know who Bill was at the time. I heard the name. And looking back now, I kind of understand like Bill's attitude on that because I hit him up. I was like, hey man, I just got my GTR. I want to get this work done. But for me, I already knew what I wanted, right? Because I was a mechanic. I could do it myself. I just didn't have any tools.
Right.
So when I talked to him about big build, he kind of like was like, okay. It was because now knowing customers kind of waste your time with that. Yeah. But I went down to another shop that I'm not going to name just because.
Really good.
And brought my wife at the time, and we were sitting there talking, and the guy straight up told her, because she's Japanese, It's like, it's Gaijin prices. I charge whatever I want because they'll pay it. What choice do they have?
Mm.
And I was like, bro.
Yeah.
And I got a quote for the amount of work, right? Because it was like I wanted to do like a 2.8 stroker, single turbo top mount, and he was quoting me out like $50,000.
Yep.
I was like, no chance, bro. Like,
Yeah,
no
man.
chance. Not back then. Not back in like 2015. It wasn't $50,000 to do
Right.
that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I
I
mean,
could still
shit.
build
That's.
my
I mean,
RB26s.
I could do that for like less than that and still make money. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I just,
Yeah.
case in point, I just quoted a guy, 33K for a 3.4 stroker kit on a 2J Supra, and
Nice.
and it's wild because it's a cool thing. I'm still making my money for my time, but the parts is way above the wage I'm going to make for the job. So it's like
Sure.
you've done a bunch of those where like the parts cost way more than what you're going to collect, which it's not a bad thing. It's just, hey man, I know how long it's going to take to do this job, and I'm quoting for it. And there were some times I blew it, and that's not the customer fault. That's, hey man, I got to charge you another $1,000 because I didn't know this process because it makes you look stupid. So I'm pretty sure you do like me, like fuck, note it for the next time. Don't charge
Yep.
this much. You know what I mean? So I do
Well, that RB26 motor, man,
Yeah.
that I'm working on right now.
Yeah,
I sold him that whole motor with the single turbo top mount for like 25K.
that's not bad, bro.
And I'm probably losing money on that deal.
Yeah.
All said and done now, because kind of designed it for myself.
Yeah.
And I have a bad habit when I build engines. I kind of start taking ownership of the engine.
Yeah.
So, I already had a cylinder head, but then I saw a Nismo head pop up on auctions that already had like the quench areas machined out by Napa, port polish, right? Full head work. And I was like, man, that head's going to work way better.
Yeah.
So I bought that head and using that one instead.
Yeah.
So,
that's just great because that's one thing too where even very experienced guys that do like backyard stuff. Because I started out, I'm where I'm at now because I didn't go to any shops back then. So it's nothing against that. It's just I didn't have the money, so we had to learn. I think everybody got the same path. Didn't have the money, wanted this car. Let's build the KET because I didn't have money for SR20. I didn't have money for a CA back then. Even though they were cheap. I didn't have the money to put all the bits together. Which SR swap back in the day was still like around about 8 or 9K, depending on where you got it from and all the parts and stuff like that. Like you want to do like I'm talking about bushings and overhaul the engine before you slap it in there. That's fucking X amount, because people had this idea that SR20s had like 64,000 kilometers. Like, nah, dude, they got the shit beat out of them.
Yep.
And then they got removed. So you think that I could write whatever the fuck I want on that valve cover. It has 500 kilometers. And who are you going to like check with on that stuff? So people were getting duped, and I had buddies, blowing their shit up at the races and stuff, drag racing, and they thought it was, I'm like, no, dude, it's not indestructible. It's far from indestructible. It can be a cool engine. And people think I hate SRs. I just don't. It's not my cup of tea. And if I go stock for stock out of the box, RB, JZ, and a bunch of other engines, and put an SR there, one of those rocker arms is going to pop off first. Is the one that has the rocker arms. Is the early model S13. Unless you go to a VE, which is a different whole. I hate when guys bring the VE in there. That's a whole different fucking. Yeah. That's a whole different. Yeah, dude. That hit.
Well, I had a guy bring a VE in not long ago because he got a good deal on the engine.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, it just drops in. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
No, it don't. The hit, you told him, I'm pretty sure his face was when we told him the fucking head work alone.
Yep.
How much that costs. He's like, yeah, dude. So go ahead and bring me like 20. And,
yep.
We can get the head done, and then we can move into the bottom end. You know what I mean? So like, and that's what I tell guys when I build the engine. Like you got a long block, short block, and like we get into which comps, and the roadie's a little bit different because everything is together somewhat. But you got two different stratospheres. So when I charge a guy, I'm like, I'm charging for the bottom end. I'm going to inspect the top end. I would like to reseat the valves because they're fucking 20 years old, even if they're not bent. But it's like you're looking at, if you're going to do that shit, man, you might as well do seals, guides, and everything because that shit's been going for 20 years like this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if it's not out of round, you're bringing up the power of your bottom end. Then you add in fucking titanium fucking valve springs. Like something's going to give there with the old shit. Mixing those shit.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
That's just it, man. That's why I prefer to do full builds.
Right.
And that's I think what my shop's known for is I do full builds.
Right.
Because it's reliability.
Right.
At the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Because you're right, it's 20 years of wear and tear. And the quickest way, I always tell someone, quickest way for me to find out the next thing that's going on your engine is for me to tune your car.
Yeah.
Yep. I promise you, I'm going to find the next weak link in your car, no matter how much money you've put in it.
Dude.
And I can honestly say, out of all the cars I've tuned hundreds of cars in Japan now on Haltex, Adaptronics, links. I've had only a handful of cars that I didn't build where it went perfect.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Where it wasn't, hey, here's a mechanical issue we got to address. Here's this, here's that. Because you know it. You got the data in front of you. When you start looking at that data in detail,
bro,
it stands out.
When you see the when they like, I do my inspections and everything, and they're about 20-30 minute debriefs, and we go over the stuff. And the guy, it'll be like a nice car, bro, nice paint, nice, no rust, and they're like kind of like having some issues. I'm like, hey man, I don't do the crystal ball shit over email. Like, I need to bring the car in there. I got 2 different inspections. I have a general, which is about like 9,000 to like, if it's depending on the car and everything, it's like 9,000 to like the Ichiman Nissan. And then I have a full performance, which it captures everything that's performance related. I don't fucking AC, your windows working. I don't do that's not. I don't tune window regulators and shit like that. So I mean, we can hook up to your Haltech and do some crazy shit if you want to, but why? Why would you do that? So and Mac, I know you can do that shit, Seth. We could have the windows roll up at 7,000 RPMs and shit, or roll down at. It's like
with the PDMs.
Yeah, that's cool shit.
PDM stuff.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day, this is like some wild shit that I had an idea of way back. You probably could have made it happen, but then again, the VTEC signal was 5 volts. So I was thinking about doing this idea where I had Civics is where I started, by the way. Civics is how I got in the game.
Okay.
And I wanted to my buddy, we were talking. I was like, man, it'd be cool if when you hit VTEC, you had like a skull or something like that, and it turned red when VTEC turned on. And that back then, I don't think you could really do that again because it was a 5 volt. The VTEC solenoid is a 5 volt.
Maybe with a relay wired in line or something.
Yeah, but I was like, now with Haltech, you can do that shit. You can have something come on at 8,000 RPMs on the outside of the car, strobes or some shit with a 12 volt signal. It's like cool shit that we can do, which is why. I was one of the dudes I still utilize Power AC for some build, for my own kick around fun shit. I use them, and I've used it to high levels to make good power. But now I'm telling dudes like, hey man, Haltech, Link, even though I don't have a good relationship with Link, Links.
Me neither.
Yeah, I don't like the way, we can go into that, we'll get into that shit later. But as far as the, when I push stuff to customers now, I try to get with Apex because I was installing so many Power Cs. I'm like, hey man, look, I've done all these builds, and they like, it was like nice, but we don't need anymore. I'm like, that was that Japanese to American shit. I'm like, I'm pushing your product for no fucking money back. And that's when I reached out to Scott knows that guys at Haltech, man. And it was like, yeah, man, we could do this and that. And it was like instantly sold. The shit is good. And I told customers like, I can tune this, but I'm not the fucking engineer for this. And I know they got Casey over there now, which definitely ramped up the rotary type of deal because he had a lot of knowledge with Casey's was not Spitronics, but they what was Casey's joint? The RX-7 joint.
Well, they had the Adaptronics.
Adaptronic.
Yep, they brought Andy Wyatt, who was the owner.
Yeah. Andy. Casey, I think about Casey for fucking. But yeah, Andy, they can't bring up. There's like that was the best move because it's like, hey man, this dude knows a lot of shit. Why try to let's bring him on the team. Like that was some smart shit.
Andy's a genius, man.
Yeah, dude.
I've known Andy for a while, and that dude is next level genius.
Yeah.
Just straight up. And what's crazy is he never even wanted to own Adaptronic, really. Right? He just built it because he didn't think any other ECU stood up to what he wanted to do. It didn't do it the way he wanted it to do it.
Right.
But it was never the pride of like, oh, I made the best ECU.
Right.
And so as far as I know, like, Haltech, when they made that offer, it was really letting Andy do what he wanted to do, which was design.
Right.
So he's super happy over there, last I heard.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that would, number one, that got to be the greatest gratification for a company that's been around as long as Haltech to say, hey, man, we definitely recognize your shit, and we want to just like when a government has a hacker, like, hey, man, don't put him in jail. Like, how the fuck did he get into our system? Let's hire him. Right. Let's reverse engineer that shit, man. So it's pretty cool and a cool move. And dude, again, all right, let's get into it for Link. 2 issues I got with Link is the very first time I dealt with him, a customer bought his car. It was a Supra, and it wouldn't go above 3,000 RPMs. And at the time, I didn't really inspect the guy's car, but I was like, hey man, drop it off. I'll go through it and everything. And I didn't even think to check the 12 volt mod because that's normally something that's already done. He built the car himself. He did all the stuff himself, just like the Supra I got now. It has Link G4 in it. and it doesn't fucking run, and it won't run until I got to do some shit. The wiring is horrendous. But number one, I don't like the link coming into paying $1,500 for a fucking circuit board that's not covered. And
Right.
I don't understand that. I don't understand sending a dude a fucking PCB that he has to take out his guts of his ECU and close drill holes and shit like that. I don't get it. And then the customer service, man, was just not, when dealing with Scott and those guys, even before I became a dealer, you call to Link, and they're just fucking condescending, like, hey, did you try this? Did you do this? I'm like, yeah, I've already fucking done the trim millisecond adjustments. I've already done this. And then they're the fucking content owners or whatever. I figured out the 12 volt shit by myself. I'm like, I went in the back and I seen the fucking controller hooked up. I'm like, this is your problem, dude. This shit is not programmed to switch over from the fucking low volts to the high volts, because that's easier to not program into there. I wired that shit up with my relay, with my system I got in my shop. Fucking full RPMs, man. He was just happy as fuck. And then I could have called the Link guy back and said, hey, man, I figured it out. I was like, no, fuck that, man. You figure it out. This is you guys' shit. And
it was, man. No, you're right on. Like, every time I tried to get in with Link, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I got a runaround as a shop.
Yeah.
Same reason, like my injector machine. I went with GB Reman over ASNU,
right,
because when I called ASNU, I was like, I want to buy this ASNU injector machine. They're like, oh, we don't know if your shop's big enough to justify
that bullshit. Like, what the fuck? Just sell it to me, dude.
I'm like, first of all, you don't know anything about my shop.
Yeah.
Like, my shop is well big enough, I assure you.
Right.
Yeah. I know what my revenue was last year.
Yeah.
Like, so, versus GB Reman, same thing with Haltech. I hit them up. Hey, will it do these types of injectors? This is my primary engine. Is it good? And it was a little bit more hassle because they don't have a Japanese distributor, so I had to import it and go through the whole customs thing down at the airport, which was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But the customer service was there, and they ended up on the FD secondaries. I didn't have the correct adapters I needed for the side feed on that particular injector, and they overnighted new injector adapters.
Dude, they've so many stories where those guys I don't know how your experience, man. When I do ask them for a question, like, or some stuff where, like, it's like, again, we install it, we know the systems, but there's just some things where even if you change pin settings, some things not working. They've always given me more information than I even asked for, and I was like, that's that shit, man. And it doesn't matter and it's like they remember when they we don't talk all the time because, again, we know our stuff pretty well, but there's times where, like, hey, man, I'll change jumper settings and this is still not firing up, or this and this, and it was just as simple as one time I was about to fucking call in, and then I seen that they changed to the software, and
Nexus,
changed it, and it was just kind of cool, and I was like, why the fuck's this light not turning green and shit? And then straight on the thing, when they pull up the website, straight in red big words, if you're having issues, make sure you upgrade. You got to upgrade to the latest software for this, and then you swap over to the Nexus. It's like right there, man. It's just like they're. It's sometimes with Haltech, I'm like, man, well, fuck, they're giving the customers too much data. Like, they got so well. Like, but then again, it's like, hey, man, it's one thing reading that shit and then applying it, you know what I mean, and not feeling like you're gonna blow the fucking engine up. So I think we're still good in that aspect, where some guys don't want to fuck with trigger wheel settings and this and this and setting up CAN, which is the easiest fucking thing ever. They're like, I don't want to fuck it up. Like, you just literally plug it in and turn it on, and
right.
Or if it doesn't automatically do it, man. So yeah, man, I think we're pro Haltech here.
I'm definitely pro Haltech. They actually thought I was you the other day.
Yeah.
When I called down there, they were like, "What's up, Donald?" I'm like, "Seth." They're like, "Oh, the other Japanese distributor." I'm like, "Yeah, the other one."
Yeah, and the thing is, this is a kicker right here, man. With Haltech, I can't even believe I'm on there as a dealer, man. Because, I mean, honestly, with you, I think we're the same way. I mean, I want to assume that, but for me, and I told him straight up, I was like, I'm not gonna buy 50 units and have them here. I just wanted to make sure we were understanding. He's like, no, man, as long as you do this, we promote. And he was like, we see your post, and I mean, I kind of do it. So in the last 3 months, I've probably only sold maybe. I sold one. I sold the Platinum Pro plug and play yesterday. Platinum Pro yesterday for 32 in America. I'm going to do remote tuning by TeamView for him because he can't find a shop where he's at. But I sold only like 3 units in the last like few months or whatever. And some companies they're like, man, if you're not selling fucking 25, 30 units a month, you're not on our website. You're not getting it, and you're not keeping your. And it's like cool that they're like, they see I'm here. They kind of understand that I'm not like there's not guys just coming in droves and everything, but it's like default. I mean, honestly, when people come in for tuning, I'm like, hey, man, first, what do you do? Because even though I like Haltech, I'm like, if you only want 380 horsepower out of an EJ20, you only drive this. I'm like, honestly, dude, and I'm like, I can do that with SCFC. You don't need all of that, and I think that's something I do because I think you can do good work, and also you can also kind of fuck people over if you wanted to, and that's not my goal. And you, like you mentioned before, trying to help the guys out, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
The guys who really need the fucking the elite and this and this, and they're gonna race and do all that stuff. I'm like, hey man, yeah, we're way past SCFC, man. We got to go to elite or go even Power C. I don't even talk about it because I want to get rid of the math. I don't want to even fucking do the tuning with the math anymore. Like I've already been through that hours and R32 fucking maths and Z32 maths and I mean, sorry about this R35 and blah blah blah. And I just had more issues just trying to get that tune just right versus the map sensor where you just plug that bitch in, get a good signal at the manifold, and you're done. And that bitch is the cleanest signal ever, dude. So I kind of just like, you know, what I mean, I haven't mentioned Power C to a customer in the last 3-4 years. That's just
I cannot begin to just tell you how many, like, because it's a known issue on the Power FC for rotaries, right?
Oh yeah,
guys will come in and complain about their idle.
Yep.
And I'll just take a Haltech because I just recently started stocking Haltech on the shelf.
Good shit.
I got a couple 2500s and 1500s and a Nexus chilling now at any given time.
Yeah.
But I'll go and grab my shop Haltech because I keep one just around for diagnostics also.
Yeah.
Plethora of different adapters. But yeah, walk over, plug the Haltech in, and on the base map, their car's running better.
Bam, yeah. Dude, it's like I introduced a few Japanese guys, and they were kind of, you know, they're like, you know, hey, like I haven't tuned, and I will never tune FCon. It's just like, and I'm like, bro, when I figured out the first time FCon was actually a piggyback, I was like, what the fuck? Because the way they talk about this system is like it's its own deal. And when I seen it, and then when you fucking pull a dash apart, you see all those fucking wires and that hardwood patch harness and I know you've seen it, dude. And it's like that got built at this our magic shop, and I'm like, I was like, bro,
we're not even gonna get into Japanese wiring, man.
Bro, I told a guy
I got PTSD from Japanese wiring.
I told a Japanese partner who actually is becoming not a partner anymore because he's threatened by that's a whole different thing right there. Where when I first opened the business, man, I had a good amount of acquaintance, right? And then they probably figure they probably talk, probably 2-3 years ago he's gonna like close the shop. We're in year 7 now, so now I those same guys I would kind of go to and like get for example, if I'm going to do a manual swap, I can't do, you know, that whole reconfiguration shit. I would go to them to get it done. You know, I would show them the pictures, everything, and they would do it for me. Then, like, you know what I mean, I can't contact them. They just don't, they magically can't answer their phone or they can't answer email. Right. I'm like, I get it, dude. You don't want to tell me to fuck off because that's your culture to be a bitch. And, you know what I mean, or just a passive aggressive person, which your whole culture is built around that. So I'll get the hint, man, and I won't talk to you. Now it's been one guy that we used to talk a bunch. It's been like a year and a half since I talked to this guy, man. And I got him his dyno. I saved him $18K on his dyno. I got my own dynos coming now. So now, you know, yes. It's unfortunate, man, but I don't mind competition. And you know, I mean, it's I wasn't planning on buying a dyno this soon, but I wasn't able to tune the car in the last 6 months because of the winter. So I was like, I had to tell my fucking customers that I had to give money back because we had to kind of deal. Well, I didn't make the deal. He was so happy that I saved him the money. I saved him on his hub dyno. He was like, hey man, you got any customers you got to come up here? And I would bring customer cars up there, and his staff even had like this weird fucking vibe around them, which I didn't really care for too much. And you know, when I come around there, the staff snooping around the car and looking at stuff, and I tell one guy, don't touch it. He was like, oh, what's this and what's that? And like, I'm like, it's good, don't touch it. And so I was like, man, this is getting, you know, I want to respect his staff because we're buddies, but it started getting to that point where I was like, man, I'm not probably coming back here anymore, man, because like I want to fucking just punch the dude in the fucking face. And that's just my vibe because he's like looking at me side eye and shit. I'm like, you're mad at me because your boss and me, a Gaijin who's his own boss, is in your shop tuning the car and shit, and you're just doing like some fuckboy stuff over there. And it's the whole thing, man. And then like the last year and a half, man, I haven't been there since. I haven't been to a shop. We haven't spoken like in a year, and we spoke pretty regularly, man. It was pretty clear to me that obviously now he sees that I'm a threat, and now he don't want to help his competition, which honestly, hey man, makes sense. Tesla's not helping Ford out.
I'm lucky, man. Like with Crank Neo down there in Okinawa, we've always had a great partnership. And Thomas-san, the owner, has been doing this for 35 years, I think. Like,
Yep.
there is no other name above Crank Neo down in Okinawa.
Right.
Just to be like on the Japanese side, the American side, they have that reputation, and we're in the same building now.
Okay.
You know, he's the one that, like, you can take the other half of the shop if you renovate it.
Nice.
Because it was like an old izakaya on that side of the shop. So I did. But he's always been there. He's always supported me. It's not competition, you know what I mean, which is great.
Right.
So it's a totally different vibe there, and it's awesome because right now I don't have a mechanic. I'm working by myself again, and they'll come over and help me pull the engine out or put a transmission back up if I need a second set of hands. And I'll do the same. They don't have an in-house tuner, so he'll come over sometimes and be like, "Hey, can you look at this Haltech? Hey, can you look at this?"
Hell yeah, man.
So it's good partnership in that sense, man.
Yeah.
And it actually, it's funny. Everyone, you know, worries about competition, but a lot of times you can end up generating revenue. Like I went over and looked at Power FC for a JZX 100 for them, and got the car running to where they could get the car back to the customer, because it just had a horrible map on it. And I just cleaned the map up a little bit. Well, the customer ended up coming back to me. They sent them over to me to get the car fully tuned.
Yeah.
So it was good stuff.
Yeah, and when you're speaking on that, man, that's how it should be. And again, that's how the first 3.5, 4 years of my business, that's how we were. He's a guy, he's up in the Mori. And the thing is, I can understand, like, you know, he sees he followed my, he don't even follow no more because he actually blocked. It's like, I could tell the signs were there. He start blocking me from seeing his data and things like that. And what happened, what went downhill, I knew this would happen, dude. I was like, the first time I get a car from his shop that he worked on and extensively, and he comes to my shop, he's hit my wife up within like the fucking 5 minutes after I posted it. What's wrong with the car? This, and this. And I was like, dude, I just got the car. I'm shipping it out for the guy. At this time, he pulled the car was Okinawa car. He pulled the engine, did all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But there was a bunch of bolt-ons with everything internally stocked. So then Corona happened. The shit in Texas with the looting and stuff was happening. And the guy's like, dude, if you don't mind, dude, I don't want my car to go to the States right now. Then I was like, all right, cool. Then we delayed it. And then 6 months later, he's like, hey, man, how about an engine rebuild? And I was like, here he goes. Because as soon as he said that, and I pulled that fucking engine out, it was just like, it was just questions galore. And also, I didn't do this on purpose. There was a lot of, I'm like, bro, if this car would have shipped like it was, your car would have burnt down. No shit. There was a straight up, they did a battery relocation, and a joint they used to relocate the front positive to the rear, there was no cover on it at all, sitting right on the fender. Uncovered. And I wouldn't say that was the owner's doing. That's why I really, honestly, like I say, I mean, I know you got your mechanic coming there. I know he's probably vetted and squared away because you're not going to turn him loose on your shit. But that's why with me, I was like, man, I'm not even at the point where I can hire somebody, but if I do, they got to be fucking like me, pretty much carbon copy of it, the way I'm going to do it, because I'm going to get the brunt of that shit. And like I say, man, I'm like, dude, I took pictures of it. There was shit disconnected. There was leaks already coming from the rear main seal. And there was other stuff going on, man. And I'm like, dude, if your car would have shipped like this with a caught on fire, this would have happened, this, and this. And I wasn't doing it because we were buddies. We were like, you know, we would talk on Facebook. I would go to there, do a dyno at his shop and everything. And he would order parts through me because he didn't know how to circumnavigate our brokerage in Canada and stuff like that. So I would order him cam sensors and everything, man. It was a good thing until that car came in here. And when it did, dude, it 180 degrees. So when he come around me, he was all jittery and shit. And
it can be weird, man.
Yeah.
I've had some Neo cars actually show up at my shop, and I'm like,
yeah,
you know, it's tough because it's like I gotta go over and be like, hey, about this car, right?
So your shit's different because you're like right there. Yeah. That's crazy, man. And,
but you know, it's good. Like it can be good. It just depends how the people are that handle that relationship. You know, I got lucky. You know, I've had a couple mechanics work for me now, or at least shop hands. I don't know if I go so far as say mechanic.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, you know, they end up tapping out despite their best influence or their best intent.
The ops tempo, man. The ops tempo was shocking to him, probably. Yep. And you know, I already know it, dude.
It's stupid mistakes too. Like, you know, I had a guy, he came on board to just help clean engines. He just wanted to learn about cars.
Right.
And I'd known him for a while, and good dude, man, like nice guy, but he just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And it was stupid mistakes. Like he took the OEM parts off the car, or I was like, hey, go put these on the shelf until the customer comes to get them. Right. and he put like a set of turbochargers on top of the stock radiator.
Oh,
And I was like, bro, you can't do that. Like,
yeah. Kind of common
some of
sense
these
though.
OEM parts, like the radiator, I can get a new radiator. It doesn't matter, right? But some of those OEM parts on these old cars, like you can't get them anymore.
Yeah, you don't trash, no, dude.
Like
Nah.
that's why I got two 40-foot storage containers just
Yeah.
full of randomness.
Yep. Like it's my thing is for me, my protocol, dude. Every seal, washer, everything that comes out, I spread that shit on the fucking table like a bag drag. This is everything that came off your engine. What pictures? I mean, I started pictures from day one, and I was like, man, son told me to take pictures from day one, and then like a couple of times it come to save my ass because the guy was like, hey man, you didn't put a clamp back on my thing, and it's a press fitting. It doesn't have a clamp on your crossover between the 2J. It's a stupid little fucking shape that I fucking hate taking off. By the way, that little fucking bend shit right there in the middle of the fucking valve cover. You gotta, and it's old and dry. I'm like, I can't. Nah, I got hoses for that shit. So for me, I know you got shit like this too for 2Js. I got a bag of clips, like 30 right now, because I had to do inventory. The fucking coil pack clips that just shatter in your hand as soon as you touch them.
Yep.
So I was like, I got tired of that shit, man. And then like, hey man, I can't give you a car back because the fucking clip broken, and I'm not gonna have both of the fucking leads like this with nothing in between it sticking onto the prong. So I'm like, we're gonna wait till tomorrow. I've got to find this clip. And the guy that I just mentioned, I would drive up to his shop, dude. He would come in town. The thing is, we're connected by another partner that's here, and I'm like, look, dude, we're friends, but if you're gonna go through him to undercut and then skim money and do all that stuff like that, we're gonna have problems, dude. Like, you know, I mean, you're creating a competition where he's playing the Baka Japanese thing where, I didn't know. Obviously, the only way people get from a Salware base to your shop in the Mori is because of this guy. He's your link right there. You don't speak English. These guys don't even contact you. So I'm like, you know, customers can go where they want. This is not me saying the customer can do what they want, but now it's like when I got a customer there and I roll up to pick up paperwork and you're there, everybody's there, dude. It's me. And I guess this is a confidence from combat or being able to fight or whatever. There's 5 men. There's 5 men standing in front of the shop, and when I pull up, all 5 men are like, oh shit, he's here. And I get out and I'm like, what's up, guys? And they're all like, nobody knows what to say because obviously one person was probably saying, I went to Pinku style. And I know what it is, man. Like I seen you were in my inbox for a job. And I told you, yeah, I can get to you 5 months from now, 4 months from now. And then you're like, all right, well, I guess you don't want to wait. And he said, I can do it next week. So you go there and then the owner, he's like, I'm like, dude, I can see what's going on, dude. My situational awareness is pretty high. Your truck's there with the bed down. His car is there. You're gonna load it up, and then I just kind of showed up and fucked your party up, and it's not, and I
hey man,
yeah.
Like I tell customers too, you can go wherever you want, right?
Dude.
Anywhere you want, I don't care. But you know what? There's probably a reason why that guy can get you in next week, and I can't get you in for 5 months.
Yeah. To be honest, dude. So I'm pretty sure you probably done the same thing where you order a slew of parts of the guy and you hold him here because his point is to come pick him up, and then I get an email like, hey man, you can come pick up your parts if you need it. Hi man, I'll be on the way, and then never hear from him again. Like, hey man, good luck. I just say good luck when they take their parts every time. And I'm not a good luck type guy when I say that, but it's like, good luck, dude, because you're probably gonna go to the hobby shop and fuck it up rurally, and then I'm gonna double charge you for fixing it. You know what I mean? So it's this on that thing, man. It's business. You know, I'm not. You know, I know that some shops are just like I do jiu-jitsu and martial arts, and there's some martial arts schools that are like, hey man, you can't go train with these guys. You can't train with Gracie Barr. You can't train with these guys because we're competitors. I'm like, I'm going to train wherever I want and do whatever I want and do, you know, it's my body, is my time. So when it comes to a car, I'm not saying, hey man, you cannot do that. But my policy now is this is my policy and I think it's fair. If you email me and we talk, you know, more than like 20 minutes or 30 minutes and I've given you a quote and I've given you time and then you go somewhere else, I don't want to see the car no more. That's just because you've wasted my time at that point. And,
well, it's not just that like I've had this happen. I've had that exact same thing happen, right? Because like I said, my shop kind of does full builds, and I've put together those quotes and those invoices.
It fucking takes time.
And then some of those take hours to put together, right? Yeah. And then you just took that list of parts and went shopping on Amazon.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this is my thing with that. So the way I did, because I did that before when my first 2 years open. When I look back at my records, man, I was looking at how much oil I gave out. Like, all right, man, you're a little under. I'll give you a liter. I gave out like fucking 20, 30 liters of oil, like just hooking people up. And I was like, never again. So if I fucking put a liter oil in that bitch, you know what I mean? I'm charging. And sometimes I'll indicate the level, like, hey man, you're this much under. You want to do it yourself? All right, cool. I'm not gonna touch it. I mean, if you come in there and it's just reading, I gotta fill it up to fucking, you know what I mean? I gotta do that and let you know, hey, and I check it right in front of them. I turn it off. I come in, they turn it off. I turn it off on purpose right away so it can settle. I do my inspection. The last thing I do is pop the hood, check everything, and see where it's at. And then I, start it up and all that stuff. We'll start it up after, and I show them the dipstick, and I'm like, dude, like, you got like 1 quart in this bitch. Like, what are you trying to do? You know what I mean? Like, you thought I was going to check this, because I've had guys bring shit there to knowing it was broken. I'm like, nah, dude, you're not going to get me. But kind of moving on from there, man, the stuff for those guys in the quotes. So this is my policy, man, with that. If you come to the shop to do the performance inspection, which can range from roughly about $280 to like whatever, because I'm doing a full report, pictures, video, all that stuff, full breakdown, report, and analysis. And you can take that list from there and do whatever you want to do. Go to the hobby shop, do your own thing. I'll just pull out all the data for you and present it to you. So that's worth it. And then what I do is, if they done it and they want to continue on, I'll build them a quote, and I'll get to them within like 72 hours. That's what I'll do it. If they've already spent money. If the guy's a new customer, I'm like, hey man, if you're rushed on this, you can go in and send me. Well, I'll break down the quote, like, hey man, you can send me fucking go send, and then I'll get to it if this time. Because if you just want to wait for it, it could be up to 2 weeks. Because I did one on the Supra, that shit took 2 hours to do that quote and build everything, and then I'm pretty sure you've been there too when you built this quote. Like, man, this motherfucker's not gonna bite. And then I had the Super guys like, all right, man, cool, let's work. I'm like, fuck. Like, it's like, yeah, dude. So it's the opposite shit too. It's like, oh fuck, this dude's ready to.
I've had that. It's like, I want this ridiculous build, and you're like, man, this book is massive. Like, you're seeing the dollar symbol at the bottom, and all of a sudden it's like, checkout complete. You're like, seriously?
Yeah, dude. And so that's just like,
well, I guess I better get to work.
Huh? Yeah, dude. That shit's like wild as fuck, man. I think we work the same way. Where, like, I would say Corona. Actually, before I say that, man, how was Corona affected or improved your shop and setup, man?
So I'll tell you, during Corona, I'd never been busier. And I think it's because people didn't have anything to spend their money on, man, except their car. I was slammed. The hardest thing that's affected it is, supply routes, supply chain issues. Borg Warner, I haven't got a turbo in from Borg Warner in 7 months, I think. Yeah. So I got 3 or 4 builds. I've lost some builds because the turbo didn't come in. The guy had to PCS out of there with the car.
Yeah.
It's made it rough on that, and it's made me really have to dig into like alternate sources. I know you use one of the same wholesalers I use, and luckily they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They got lots of resources. And then, finding my own parts, designing my own parts, right? Like, that had to become a thing.
Yeah.
So right now I'm actually getting ready to release my stud kit for the rotary engine.
Oh, good shit.
I've been having issues getting those from Goopy for a while there during Corona. So I took them, measured out the stock tension bolts, designed studs, and I'm getting cold rolled Inconel 925 studs made.
Shit, I'll putting an order for when I'm building right now and everything. So with all that stuff, man, like I say, it's cool because I one thing is odd with people. I just got finished talking to a guy before I got here. Actually messaged me from the States, pretty prominent guy in the car show scene. He's like, yeah, I'm in Japan, and every time they say that, I'm like, bro, you don't realize where I'm at. Because everybody want to go to fucking Tokyo, Shinjuku, right in that little pocket. That they think that's Japan right there. I'm like, bro, it's so much more of this shit out there. And I'm like, I'm 8 hours north of there. He's like, actually, I'm going to be in Hiroshima. I'm like, that's 14 and a half hours. Like, Japan is not wide, but it's fucking long.
Right.
And, I've driven all the way from Misawa down to Fukuoka and back and everything. So I've done a whole. So far as military mileage and operations and personal, I don't think there's anybody in fucking Amori that's driven this shit longer than me. I just got back from Kanagawa last week, and I do turn and burns from Yokohama and back in a day. Like, I leave 03, right. I'm in fucking Kawasaki, Yokohama by like 1300, drop off, back in fucking Misawa by like 12:23, like same day, bro.
It's funny you mentioned you got hit up by a guy in the States. I don't know how your experience has been, but I've been surprised at how big my name has gotten. Because I don't really advertise, you know what I mean? It's just word of mouth, and I think it's because a lot of customers are military and they travel around or whatever.
Right.
But last time I was down in the Philippines, I actually got a call from Neo, and they're like, "Hey, these guys came by. They're down doing a documentary on like coral reefs or something in Okinawa, right?
Yeah.
But they heard your name up in mainland, and they wanted to do an interview. They were from National Geographic, bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like Discovery or something." And
Yeah.
I was like, "How the hell they heard my name?"
Yeah.
I'm just
But
a mechanic,
it's
man.
crazy, man. Like it's, I think with the, because you post on IG and the tags. I kind of I thought back on the amount of tags, because one thing I noticed, if you notice, like Tom Cruise posts some shit, that motherfucker got put no tags on it. They get like 100 million fucking likes and followers. So it's like the tag shit is like, I just put like the RB26, R32, blah blah. I just put like the immediate shit and move on. So, but I have seen your posts. I follow your stuff. I see it, and like the IG is good for that. And speaking of that, man, to use that, man, obviously I noticed you're in your second. This is the second one, because the first one, something happened with your this is your second one, right? Your second profile for IG, right?
Yeah, dude, I got hacked, man. I lost all my followers.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that was rough.
So like that stuff with that is kind of, how is like the social media been? How do you use it within your company, man?
Yeah, I just unlike I know you do a lot of your stuff through email. For me, I use the Facebook Messenger as my primary means of communication. Just because now with the business suite, I can tag them.
Yeah.
And like put tags and search and stuff like that. I think social media has been great for us. I try, and I haven't done it in a while, but I try and put up like technical articles. Sometimes I'll write, and really it's for me to sit down and actually make myself write and write things out technically. But it does, and I know the customers really like when their car gets posted up. I do like my little glam up reel shots and stuff like that. So, oh man, it's been good.
Yeah, because I've seen the like I say, a lot of times with
God, that pipe. That pipe gave me PTSD, man.
Yeah.
Took forever to weld.
It's aluminum?
Yeah, it was all aluminum.
Bro.
That pipe was the only way I could get an air filter to clear around all the power steering stuff for the SR I built.
Yeah, that shit, man. That people don't realize, man. I get PTSD from looking at it, because I know just making a fucking two bends, like, depending on because you'll have two different, I've had, my biggest thing is welding different aluminums to different aluminiums, because some aluminum is, you put a grinder to it, it's like it's not supposed to spark. That means there's some impurities in this shit. Yeah, and you go to weld that shit, and then the fucking shit just blows apart, and you get black marks, and it's just, aluminum could be a bitch, dude. And anytime I see something like that, I'm like, dude, I know it. I already know. Like it's yeah.
I think it ended up being like 12 pie cuts on that pipe,
dude.
I was like,
oh. And then you fucking cut it, and then like it's like you don't want to burn that shit through, because you got to cut that shit again. Yeah. And yeah, dude, that's why when people say, hey man, I need a quick weld, like I need a car. And I used to do, I did the shit where a guy would cut it himself and tape it together, and that shit, then it fucking ended up fitting like pointing this way, because he didn't account for one guy didn't raise, the engine was lowered, like you pull a transmission, he didn't fucking raise the crossmember back up, so the engine was down about half an inch. So that changes the whole trajectory of that bend. So after that, I was like, nah, dude, I need the car. And then I'm also not a fabrication shop only. There's a guy in town that does great work, and I actually defer people to him, because if you just want like this certain thing fabbed, I can do it if we're doing a single turbo conversion, I can make you a downpipe and all that stuff and blah, 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 in shop and everything. But just like drop it when I'm doing it, make it, I need the car to do that, number one. I can't. Yeah. So fabrication, man, I don't give a fuck. If it's a quick job, it's never a quick job, dude. I don't play that game, because that.
There's a lot that goes into when like designing turbo kit, right? You're talking about doing a single turbo conversion.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it, fabrication wise. Like when you design it from the ground up, we're working on a new top mount turbo kit right now for SRs, actually.
Okay.
It's figuring out the downpipe. I'm going to have reactive mock up his manifold he wants to make, right? Because I just don't have time to sit there and weld manifolds together. Yeah. That's his thing. He's a fabricator. I'll let him do it.
Right.
We have a great partnership.
And then shout out for like vet on vet support, business support, which is
yeah, dude. James is a great guy, man. Great fabricator. He's very gifted with his welding torch.
Dude,
put it like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's where a lot of guys because it's like you should, as a shop, you should have the ability to or hire somebody to do it. So I mean, I'm self-taught. I did my first like roll pipe frame I did with I got so good at flux core welding fucking looks like shit when you first start. And I actually did the whole thing with like one, single passes, or actually multiple passes. But it was like, you get that heat, the angle, and you just learn a little. And it's like flux. You can even use flux pretty good depending on your amperage and things like that. And that shit just worked out so well when I did that S2000 roll bar. And it's like, and dude, look at it like, oh man, you look like MIG welded. I'm like, nah, dude, that's flux core. And they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, dude, this is the fucking angle, making sure and making sure shit's clean as fuck. You know what I mean? You're not welding on type of scale and rust and dirt. As long as it's clean and you get that, and you got a little fucking relief and a little valley to weld into, and you can pie that shit in and fill it in, and then do another thing on top. That's the welding, man. I noticed with TIG, I'm pretty comfortable with it now, man. But aluminum, I don't do it enough. So when I pick up the fucking rod, I'm doing like practice pass on fucking things before I get to it, and I blow this shit out, or I don't contaminate as much.
It took me a long time to get good at aluminum, man. Yeah. Like I still don't think my aluminum welds or anything to show up on Instagram, bro. Yeah. But
if it's thick aluminum, I'm good with it because I can fucking turn that shit up and I'm not gonna blow through it. But when it's like even putting a tab on an intercooler, I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't want to fuck this up, dude. I don't want to mess this up.
I don't know, man. I started playing with all the settings on my Everest.
Yeah.
Everlast welder, so I got triangle pulse and all that.
Yeah. That's so that's what I got. That's what I got too. I got Everest. I got a 185.
Nice.
Yeah. So that thing, and on that. Speaking on that, man, that thing is going on. I got that in 2015, and it's still. That shit's what people don't understand out there. I don't give if you work for Miller or whatever. That shit's a Miller in green clothing. It's a fucking it's a Millermatic, dude. They got the patent for that 1 year, and that shit's a Miller welder inside of a green housing. It's the same shit. So
yeah, mine's a workhorse, man. Yeah. I've had mine for going on 5-6 years. My 255.
I haven't had an issue with mine, bro.
It fires up. The only issue I ever had was the pedal that came with it. I ended up changing out to a good pedal and workhorse.
Speaking of that, I'm just reminding me. I need to buy the one. The dude came up, the one, and it's been out for a while. Where you have it's like pretty much a pedal in your hand. And you can back up.
Oh yeah, the tick finger. Yeah, I got one of those.
Yeah, I think it's you got the how much is that? How much did they run you for the?
I think it was like a 185. I think I got a Welding World.
Yeah, so I need to get one of those.
But yeah, it's nice for like exhaust work, man. You just tack it.
Yeah, so we got that, and then it's funny that my one thing I did break was actually my linking, which is my linking 125. Before it was MIG, I converted it to was MIG flux, and I converted it to gas. And just like about I was just about to start on the cappuccino finally, which is still sitting. And then that happened. I was like, fuck, I gotta buy another one. But the feed for the argon like broke internally, and then I was like, that thing has been around. I got it from Craigslist in America. It came through the post office. Surprisingly, as heavy as it was, man. So I gotta fix it. And that's a 110, so I need to get a 2 because I can tell we're at 50 hertz up here, and I can tell where it's lagging. When I crank that bitch all the way up, it still is not really penetrating how I want. So I'm gonna get a 220 220 MIG. Would you agree, man, that the tooling and tools and shit is like way more affordable these days, or what's your stance?
I think it is on a lot of things. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably like you. I mean. My shop is all Snap-on because it's a business and I can write it off, but and I need to.
Right.
But I really believe in buying quality tools. This time go, man.
Well, except for those late night joints where you go, you just gonna use this. The late night. I need to cut this shit off and make extended. Like I'm not gonna do that to my Snap-on. And
right.
So I go to. We got a home ec, and we got also Daiso sells like some shit. Tools, and I go there and cut shit in half and make like a little.
I'll go over to Astro.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much Harbor Freight.
Astro right by the shop.
Yep, pretty much Harbor Freight and like
pretty much Harbor Freight in Japan. Yeah,
I got tools that hang on the wall, and sometimes I'll walk the customer around the shop. That's one thing I do when I meet a customer first time. I show them the shop. They see the organization. They're like, "Holy fuck, dude! No trash on the floor." Like, fucking inspection order at all times, man. That's just one thing that, even to me, my shop would be junky to me, and they'd be like, man, your shop's clean. And I look on a desk.
I get the same comment, man.
Yeah, I think that's just something, man. Again, man, this is not we're not hating on Japanese, man, but you go to some shops, man, and they do great work. But then I'm like, dude, why the fuck is it a pile of pistons in the corner? Like, why is the old bucket over there? Like, why is... Like I shouldn't have to step over anything when I'm walking, especially working alone, because you fucking got a head in your hand. and you walk backwards or something, and you trip over it. Now the head's fucking on your sternum, and you don't have nobody there to help you. And so, like, I make sure my floor is clear. I'm not stepping over shit. And it's just, I think it's normal. And then when a customer comes there, there's no, and like I see on that picture right there, there's no fucking tool sitting on this goddamn bottom of his windshield. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, they see that shit. Oh, you're going to put shit on my car too? Like, nah, dude, I got a tool cart right here. My tool cart does get kind of fucked up sometimes because the quick cart.
I have a shelf actually that's built right in front of the lift.
Yeah.
So I can like keep my Ziploc bags and all that right there. But some of these builds, like the one you're looking at right there, you know, you get into the time crunch on it.
Yep.
Right.
Like,
that guy was leaving Island. That's actually my buddy's car, and he wanted to do all the single turbo install himself. Right.
Yeah.
But he wants to learn. It's his therapy. You know, he's retiring from the military, and he decided that cars is his therapy.
Right.
But man, we spent a good 4 or 5 hours showing him everything he did wrong.
Yeah.
On the build, and fixing it. And then, you know, I was in crunch time to finish the car, and at one point I think all my Snap-on toolboxes were essentially outside.
Yeah. Yep. Because you're like, hey, I'm gonna need this next. I'm gonna need this fucking 17 with a crow foot in a second. Put that shit right there. Then like next thing you notice, you got all the fucking tools out of their slots. I'm like, then sometimes, dude, my shit goes crazy, and I don't give a fuck what I'm doing. I gotta stop, dude, because I gotta put everything back in their fucking slots, and then like all the little fucking zip tie packs open up in the thing. I'll stuff them inside the drawer, and it's just like, man, I got shit on top of shit, and I know 100% what you're talking about, dude. And then like, dude, the worst.
You gotta open the drawer. You open your socket drawer, and there's just no sockets left in the socket drawer.
Yeah,
like,
and I dropped my first time ever, and it feels like shit when you I fucking had a drawer open. I opened another one. And I turned around, and I heard the worst fucking sound in the world. The whole thing falling over. I was like, motherfucker, dude. Like I just looked at it. I couldn't scream or nothing. I was just staring at that shit on the ground, like, fuck, dude. Like, and that was just a quick cart. That's because I kept pulling out big tools and sitting them on a fucking thing, and I was rushing. Yeah. And I took a fucking big ass hammer and set it right on the drawer, and that shit tipped right over, man. Luckily that was a quick cart, so it didn't have a ton of shit in it. And I got this Astro box. I got Snap-on. For me, I have Snap-on, Astro. I got a kind of mixture of shit and everything.
So I got an Astro toolbox that the injector machine sits on in the back room. Yeah. And man, you want to talk about your heart sinking? Yeah. I brought out that 7x14-inch bandsaw that I've got, and I flipped it to vertical. Right?
Yeah.
And it just kept going, and it flipped.
Fuck.
One, that's a heavy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But it hit the toolbox that injector machine's on.
Shit.
And I was just like, not my injector machine.
Yeah, dude.
That's those two pieces of equipment that I can't just replace. You know, one's unbelievably expensive, and the other one I had to have a friend bring from America with him when he moved over to Japan because it's so heavy.
Yeah, and the shipping would be like ridiculous. But yeah, it's just crazy, man. Like, dude, it's kind of like warming for me. And then when I talked to my guy Alan in Bridgemoto, and I went to his shop, and it's just, you know, and I talk on it from the mind frame of good shops and good people, man. Because one thing, you know, and I don't tolerate it, and the people like, oh man, you just saying this because you want to get the gun. Like, nah, dude. And it was a shitty owner, dude. Like, I take offense to it because you're making my job harder, man. You're making what I'm trying to do is an honest job, honest living, to feed my kids and do the stuff I want to do for fun. Because that's one thing I do too, is like, hey man, while I'm committed to my business, this is my fucking time. So I run into guys at a BX, and I'm the type of guy, man, if I'm saying something, I'm saying it, and that's how I feel about it. But I don't say anything with a joking, laughing, jovial way, because that's the passive aggressive way to say shit. But I had a dude had his car in my shop. Well, his car was it was something, and I took his car in like a couple of days prior because I was like, well, you can bring it here because you're gonna go whatever. And he was like, hey man, you should be at the shop working on my car. And I'm like, that shit ticked me the fuck off, dude, because I know he was probably kind of playing, but then it's like, is this motherfucker being serious right now? Like, because people got the attitude where single business owners are like, we slaves to this shit. I'm like, yeah, you can be, but that's not me. I mean, I got my hours. I got when I open and when I close from dealing with customers. And I told guys, he's like, well, how do you build this business working between 9? He's asked me straight up, and I was like, you know, 9:45 to 1600. I was like, no, that's when I will talk to you. It's not when I work. That's not when I work. I'm working 03, 04, 05. to do these builds, man. And then that's how I get the shit, man. So some people, man, they just don't know how to deal with single business owners, or they think that we need them because we're not, top secret or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, man, it's a hard balance, man. Because it is easy to become a slave to your own business.
Oh, dude,
there's definitely those days where I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've missed tucking my daughter in for bed because I got to get this car done.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, or you just get kind of sucked into it and you look up and it's 9 o'clock at night.
Yep.
But it is, man, because there's always someone else. There's always a question. I mean, yesterday I sat down, that remote tuning picture I posted up, right? My nice Philippines office I was at. I went to do just that one remote tune and it ended up being 6 different invoices I ended up doing at the same time. And I'm just like, man, everyone messes with me at the same time. So
yes, that's but the same. That's one thing I told guys. I'm like, dude, I'm never complaining about it, because it's like, hey man, you could be getting no fucking inboxes. Yep. So but at the same time too, man, and again, that's just one example of one guy who actually, that particular guy I ended up firing him as a customer, because shortly after that, he was one of those guys that, oh man, I told my rule is, if you come to me and you haven't ordered anything, I'm ordering everything. If you order some stuff, I'm going to check it out and say yes or no and installing it. And I'm like, did you get it from Amazon? It's probably fake, because you didn't buy it from an actual dealer, what I mean, and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm not installing that. I can even hold it in my hand and tell it's counterfeit. And when I had one guy, how do you know that? Well, here's the real Grady RS blow valve. Hold it, and then hold yours, and you see the difference right there in the metal. And so I had some guys like that where I lost jobs because they just wanted to do their thing, and in come to find out, they blew the shit up. Then I get the, hey man, you were right. I'm like, yeah, I know. And this particular guy, he wanted to use his credit card to do stuff and build his points and some other shit. And I was like, I can get you a better deal on Haltech, and that's what I do. If you're gonna install it at my shop and get it tuned, I actually offer a really good deal on it, more so than your military discount. Right. So he wanted to do it and got it and everything. And I'm like, number one, you got an elite when you can get the Platinum Pro. You don't need what the elite does. You're not doing trim wheels and trim. You're not doing all that shit. So why would you spend extra money? He's like, because somebody told him to get the elite. At the time it was the 1500. And I was like, you could have just got a plug and play for this particular one, the build he was doing, the engine he had. And there's some other stuff too, man. And then he kept when I was asking him for data, he kept disregarding what I was saying and then saying whatever he wanted to say. I'm like, bro, this fucking guy has a problem. He obviously has more money than he's used to. His attitude was revolved around money and shit like that. I'm like, right. I was like, nah, dude. I was like, obviously, I was like, hey man, so since you're not answering my fucking emails, I didn't say fuck. I was like, since you're not answering my questions 3 times in a row, he disregarded the stuff I was asking and then started talking about what he wanted to talk about. Didn't answer, didn't entertain it, nothing. I was like, hey man, since you're maybe, I don't understand your reading level, come see me face to face, or this doesn't continue. Never came to my shop. Done. Yeah. And that was like $4,000. I mean, I told my wife, she was like, well, we need the money. I was like, yeah, I need the money, but you're not going to do that to me, man. That's not going to fucking happen. I mean,
I had to put in, I didn't want to make this rule, man. I didn't want to make it a policy, but right. I had to. I will not install parts that I don't sell anymore. Only by very, very rare exception. If it's like part of a build and it has to be done and I just don't have access to that part, I'll do it. But I mean, my dealer network is pretty extensive.
Right. Right. So pretty much everything you got, I could have got. And if you would have came here, because I do a reservation, so they got to be a reservation. Once you pay the reservation, then I got some money from you. Then I'll extend to a certain point, and then there's a range. And I tell guys straight up, hey man, that guy, that 32 over there, he's done over $60,000 at my shop. He's definitely getting a better deal than you, straight up. Like I'm not trying to play favorites. Like, he's invested into my company. 60 fucking K of my revenue came from this one fucking dude. Yeah. It's a scale, man, and I don't play the, what I mean, hey man, Tom Brady, there was one point where nobody didn't give a fuck about Tom Brady, but now once he put in that work and he start winning, it's like, hey man, everybody want Tom and stuff like that, and then it is what it is, dude. That's life, and hey man, you're not gonna make selection if you fucking suck. Now I wouldn't say suck is a harsh word, but you just ain't got everything that you need for that. I mean, I think a mechanic is a lot. I kind of view it, different realm, but
It's like a doctor, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't go to a doctor that
100%.
you don't get along with.
Yeah.
If I'm building you a car, we're not talking about doing oil changes on a Corolla.
No.
It needs to be a relationship because these cars 25, 30 years old, once I start digging into it, there's probably going to be some things that we have to change or discuss. And it needs to be that relationship, right?
Yeah.
You need to trust me that I'm not out here to rip you off. And I got to trust that you're going to take my advice and you're going to listen to what I have to say to you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing with that stuff with the thing I'm dealing with is crazy. I just turned 40, man. And one thing that's crazy to me is I just had a couple of customers, man. And I told them straight up, I was, because I wanted to be respectful, because again, I got kids now, and then maybe my son will join the military and be fucking in California and stuff. Obviously, he's going to talk to dad, right? Because dad runs a performance shop, right? And like for your son, is he into cars at all?
My son's not. My daughter is.
Okay.
My daughter does open wheel kart racing. Actually,
no shit. Good shit.
Yeah, she just got her JAF license at 9 years old.
Shit, she's
actually ranked.
I only got mine yet, man. I need to fucking get mine. But the what I was saying, this particular guy, his dad was a I think prior service, and he was a car guy, V8 guy. Naturally, he's from the States and everything, and his dad, and obviously they have a good relationship, because he bought him a 2500 straight up, like, hey man, here's your birthday present. And I was like, like, you didn't need the 25, cool, you got it. I can do everything I can do with the Platinum Pro, the plugin. But I was like, but you just spent this much money, and are you planning on doing this and doing that? I showed him the draft chart, what you can do with the 25 and what you can do with the Platinum Pro.
Yep.
And I was like, you can do everything that you want to do with that. It's like, you didn't need that. So you already bought it. So
I push the elites.
Yeah.
I push the elites because I like the software better.
Yeah, that's true. And then that is true. The software is cool. Now you can run them on a WitchCon, but and they honestly look cooler and stuff like that. But I just try to like give the guys like the different levels of what they can do. But and then he kept saying my dad, and I let him say it like 5 times, right? And then like I was like, hey man, respect, but you got to work with me, dude. You gotta, and I think your dad would say the same thing, man. You got to stand on your own. You can't. Every time I tell you some data, you're going back and
right,
running against your dad. Like, your dad's not here, and your dad would tell you the same thing. I don't got a crystal ball. I see the compression numbers. I see how your plugs look. I see how your cylinder boards look. I see how the oil looks. I can smell the oil. I can tell you're already washing the rings. Like you say, man, it's just like being a doctor, and it's like being in forensic science as well. So you can just see, like, you can tell all your injectors are there, and which injector is fucked up, because you can tell the burn on the injector. You can see the housing scoring. You can see the hot spots inside the cylinder wall, and the rotary is the same thing, where I had to getting that fucking iron housing, man, just for that one little scratch, man. I was like, I don't know about that, dude. And we gotta maybe I could be resurfaced, but if I run my nail down like my nail stops, that's kind of bad. And it's right on the path where the fucking corner sill goes right over top of it. And I was like, if that nick catches one of those things and rips up the thing, fucking corner sill, now I'm explaining to you why you have no compression in one housing on one side or something like that. So it's like, nah, dude. And then like you got, you can tell, man, the how's the machine, in your opinion, man, the machining services, mainland and stuff like that.
What machining services?
Yeah, exactly. There it goes. There it goes.
That's what I tell the SR guys. I'm like, hey, any of the piston guys, but specifically the SR, because it's all aluminum,
right?
Head on there and everything. And I'm like, hey, I gotta rebuild your engine, but we're gonna have to send the block and the head out to be at least decked, right? Get it sliced. I'm like, I don't know when June's gonna send it back.
Yeah.
When June gets around to it.
Yeah, and then you got June and Naprick, and it's like they have a dude. I'm pretty sure you would want it, but when I go to McDonald's, well, I don't go anymore. But I'm in a fucking line, like, dude, I want to have a line like this when I realize I'm not McDonald's. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not gonna have a drive-through because I don't even want that. But it's like you see Amazon, and I come home and I'm like, fuck, man, Amazon box all over my house, dude. Like, I want Pinku style box all over people's houses and shit.
Yep.
It is like, that's a business type of mindset that people don't understand. And I don't know why I'm playing with this fucking home like a switchblade and stuff like that. But yeah, man, it's like it's a business thing. And my wife, she's finally getting on board. I mean, that machine, dude, I was like, dude, it's gonna suck for like 2 months. And it's honestly, to be blunt, it is sucking right now. I was like, when that machine drops, which my first machine arrives next week, I'm like, that money's gonna flow back quicker than you fucking can believe, because I'll be the only one in town with that one. And then when I get the other machine, that's gonna do, I'm gonna monopolize the whole Mori. It's like, you know what I mean, you gotta believe in what I'm doing. I'm like, we've been open 7 years. You never not ate dinner. You never slept in the dark. You never been cold.
Right.
So like, just fucking relax, man. Because you know, I was like, I told her too, like, I love you, man, but you're not gonna hold me back. And I told she didn't really get what I was saying, but I was like, if I gotta stay, you know, I'm for the family, and I make conscious efforts to get home, like, you know, around 5 o'clock and everything. My boys are getting older and stuff like that, and she really can't control them. So I'm there, I help them with the homework and stuff like that. And then after I get done, they shower. I got the laptop back out and the fucking doing invoices from home.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, you know, and that's a conscious effort, man, because it's like everybody, you hear those stories from old dudes like, hey, man, I wish I would have. And I heard a few of those stories like, hey, man, I know what you're doing, but don't fucking neglect the family, because, you know what I mean, you only got one of those. And you know what I mean? So it was rough, man, to keep her.
People don't realize the strain that the family goes through, as a single business owner, like, you know.
And then not only that, but you, man, being single business, then being special forces, man, like that's a whole different.
I just don't sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it is what it is. And, you know, if you want to be successful, there's sacrifice that's involved in that. Yeah. So, and I really believe that, you know, and the business, I've been in business just about as long as you have, I think, with this shop, and it's finally getting to the point now where it's stable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's stable.
Right.
I got the tools I need. I'm not taking every penny I make and putting it back into the business necessarily like I had to.
Yeah. And that was
still a lot. Now I'm getting to do cool stuff like product development, right?
Yeah.
Like now I'm designing my private label stuff.
Yeah, and I know how that is, and that's why I do to, like, you know, even with the coilovers and stuff like that, it was, people think like you just, because it's weird, man. Everybody can see the same shit. Google is Google. Mm-hmm. They can find the manufacturers, and there's ways to do that. I'm not gonna give out the secrets. If you know, but you can find actually most of the times they fucking mail you. Like, hey, man, we do this and X, Y, Z. I'm pretty sure you get those fucking emails all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We do injection molds. We do this, and this. And they like, well, like, all right, riddle me this. So how much is it for a sample? Well, the MOQ is fucking $500 and the sample is $3,000. I'm like, fuck off, dude. Like, I'm like, and then the sample, like, then they do this shit where the sample is the fire. And then they do that to get you enticed, and then the product is shit, man. It's like, I've got a box of hoses that I thought was going to sell in weeks, and I bought them 3 years ago, and this shit's rough, man.
I got the water hose kits that I just released, and they definitely haven't been selling like I thought they would, unfortunately. But it is nice. I use them on engine builds.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those where I have those silicone hoses on staff, and I did get lucky. The manufacturer I use for my silicone couplers and my water hoses and stuff, top notch, man. Dude. I'll put my stuff next to Samco, Nishimoto, anything all day.
And that's the great thing with the when you find a good manufacturer, man. That's one thing. And I had a few guys like, it's like you find your manufacturer and you're like, it's not like because you can figure out the shit, but it's like, nah, dude, I found like this. You need to find your own, because that's part of the competition and everything, and especially how the internet's today. But it's just odd the way it works, man. And that's where I kind of ask about social media. Is unfortunately, man, it's like your work is great. I that's why, like, I always follow your stuff. I always mention your name. Like, pretty much, I'll talk like, hey, man, Seth down in Okinawa doing this and stuff like that. And it's like, man, you know, this is not a hating. I'm not hating. I'm comfortable with myself, but it's not a hating thing. But then, like, you post some shit, like I posted my wheels the other day. I posted them coming out wheels, right? And I've been working on that actually. It's just before the suspension, but the manufacturer, I'm on my third manufacturer, because I allow shit to mature and everything. But when you're taking 2 weeks to get back to me for a fucking update, no, I'm not. I already know what's going to happen when we get to ordering shit. So I was like, fuck it, man. I don't got time for wheels anyway. And then somebody else contacted me, and I was like, hey, what's the test this? And they were like on fire. And the other day, they were cool. And then we got towards I paid the $50 my money for the render and the revisions. And then it was taking like 4 days to get back to me. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not saying you got to be spot on all the time, but like at least like a day and a half, 4 or 5 days to get an update on stuff is like, that's worrying me I'm about to kick money out to you. Right. And I can't submit. It's taking me 4 days to submit a fucking order. That's why I started my suspension, man, because I was selling Reaction, and I'm pretty sure you probably don't watch the podcast, but they were expecting me to buy 50, 60 units in one time. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do cook to order. I'm just not going to buy 50 sets of coilovers. And
have them sit there.
Yeah. And I mean, they will still sit here to the day because this is the thing where people like, oh man, you should have all the support because you're American. I'm like, this the polar opposite, bro. Like, I don't get, if I relied on Masao Wear Base, my business would have folded in 7 months and that would have been done. That's it. My business relies on me selling my own shit, my own cars, this, and this, and that's putting me towards where I'm going at for my PTSD sake, for my mental sake, health sake, and all that stuff like that. I'm pretty much not taking on any jobs anymore unless they're a certain type of job, which is higher paying. I'm just getting to where I want to buy a car off Yahoo, refurbish it fully, and sell it. And that's what I've been doing a bunch, dude. Just fucking, because it's like there's no customer involved until you buy the car, and then you're done. And you collect the money, and you have a good life. And to date, I sold a lot of cars. I never had anybody say, hey, man, this was fucked up, because I've outlined everything that was wrong with the car and stuff like that. So that's something that I know I could sustain. And then now getting the dynos in, it's going to change the shop too. Yeah. Where I can, it's just the day-to-day.
I wish I could bring dynos in, man, but Okinawa's too tiny.
Yeah. I didn't.
Noise complaints are real.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man, with that, I got to build some stuff, but I got a big open field and stuff right there and things like that. And then it's not, they're not going to be running 24/7. I'm not going to be doing no dyno pulls at 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Right. But I'm going to build soundproofing and stuff like that and do what I got to do. But I lost customers basically because I didn't have a dyno, and then they didn't understand. I'm like, dude, my personal belief. And I told the guy to his face, and that's probably one of the things to start breaking down the conversation. I was like, dude, you have ASP right there. I got MSP, ASP right here. I'm going to put that fucking car on the track, boots on ground, and get real ambient temps, real loads, not no simulated shit. Because the dyno, if you don't set the load cells up properly, you don't have the proper ratio, those numbers don't even fucking mean anything. You just got to load it. You got a resistance on a eddy brake holding the car up to create load, simulate load. And when I tell a customer that, they like, what do you mean? The dynos, the industry is pushed. Yeah.
It's just a tool,
It's a fucking tool. That's all. It's a measuring tool that's pretty goddamn accurate. Not 100%, but pretty accurate. And the whole industry has pushed that dyno shit down people's throat where Link, for example, when I checked that box, I put no. And that was it. I never got a reply from Link. Helltech, I was like, no. Hey, cool. We can do this. You got the MSP. You can do it. They didn't give a fuck.
Yep. And then we got, the big thing, my high-end ECU that I carry is Mtron.
Yeah.
Mtron's fire.
And shout out to you, man, for taking, like, even when Adaptronic, man, like Seth right here, for the guys who know, he was fucking flying to go, meet these guys and get spun up on the fucking systems and gear, man, like putting in time where most people will just figure it out online, YouTube. Like, you went and what trips have you taken to go, like?
Been down to Australia a couple times and done that. Mtron, I've been trying to get into their factory down there in Australia, but unfortunately with COVID, it just now started opening back up. I was able to do their master certification course though, which is I'm still going through because it's like 500,000 modules of education on their system, but it's good stuff. I mean, when you start talking about Boyle's law and stuff for gas exchange as part of tuning, you're getting into next level stuff. But a big thing with Mtron, it was Mtron and Motec, right? Because I have Motec, my personal car, I have 2 Motec PDMs. I have a Motec dash, but I run it all off an Mtron ECU because I don't like Motec's pay gates. And the same thing when I applied for becoming a Motec dealer, it had nothing to do with my qualifications as a tuner. It had everything to do with how big my shop was.
100%, dude. How about square foot? Like, why the square foot is even in a fucking application equation? Like, square foot meaning what? Like, you got that much more space to put people's shit because you're not getting to it? Like, what do you I mean, what do you?
No,
that was.
It was just like Cobb.
Yeah.
For like the Cobb access ports. I never even bothered filling out the application after I looked at it because they were like, we want pictures of your dyno room. We want pictures of your customer viewing area of the dyno room, like where they can sit and watch the car getting tuned. I'm like, who has this?
No. Because the customer stays home and like I'm going to imply a policy, like, for mine, for my dynos, the way to work into it, like, I know I was telling her, I'm like, dude, people are just going to want to know their numbers. And once they figure out they don't make that 380 horsepower they thought they make because they're losing everything, they drivetrain and everything, then they're gonna want to fucking do work. That's what it's like. That shit's gonna push up jobs and everything. I was like, dude, it's gonna increase revenue. It's gonna, I mean, no shit. The all-wheel drive down. I mean, people who know about it, whatever. I kept it off the thing for a little bit, but it's already happening. But there's a Toyota right across the street from me, and a guy came over to the shop. He was doing some other stuff. To actually, he wanted to see the shop, and I said, can I bring the car over to you? He's like, I'll come across the street and shit. And he came over to the shop free of charge. And hooked up and was trying to find something that my scanner couldn't find. His scanner couldn't find it either. And we were just talking. I was like, I got an all drive down to come and this, and this. And if you guys want to run up cars, he's like, oh, yeah, I'll talk to Masacho. So fucking Toyota almost want to do a contract just to fucking spin up cars. So it's like, and she was looking at me all wide eyed. I'm like, I fucking told you. I'm like, dude, performance is there. And then also, this is where I'm kind of trying to expand a little bit and not be like fucking stuck up towards sports cars only. I don't give a fuck who. If you want to spin your shit up and see how much power it got, pay the fucking fee. I don't give a fuck. Like, Gemini or fucking. I mean, as long as it can physically fit on there. Now, of course,
if it fits,
yeah.
It's like a cat, man. If it fits, it sits.
Yeah. So I mean, naturally, of course, I want to appeal to performance because that's what I do. But if a dude who has a Gemini or a Gemini, I could do Geminis if they want because it's kind of performance SUV, small truck. But let's say a Delica or whatever the fuck, man. If you want to see how much your Delica makes, you pay me the fee, which I'll keep the fees offline until I get to that point. But sure. It's like, hey man, if you want to spin that shit up, if I can do X amount of dyno power checks a week, that takes about 30 minutes. Strap that bitch down, give you a printout, AFR. You want to pay extra for that, and be done with it, man. And they'll generate revenue, man. So it's just a thing where the machines cost a lot of money, but I'm just at 40 years old, just turned 40 years old, just got to the hospital for 7 days for some other shit, health-wise, as a result of 7 years of grinding like a motherfucker, not eating, not sleeping, and your body, and I'm pretty physically looking strong, but your body's like, dude, I'm fucked, dude. My insulin levels, I got fucking I got type 2 diabetes, whatever the fuck, man. And that's it is. And I'm 40 years old, never thought I would have some shit like that. Now I'm fucking popping insulin every morning and shit like that, and I knew what I needed to do, and I just reverted my diet and all. And they're saying pretty much if I stay on a path I'm on right now, I'll be done with this shit by summer, and that's because I'm determined not to be buying by insulin, shit like that, man. But again, with you, man, it definitely rung home. We talked about stuff like that, and like you said in the beginning, from the top, man. Pushing and grinding, you being special forces and things like that, and just like pushing, and like fuck, dude, we getting older, man. And
the body's slowing down a little bit, man.
Yeah, and you're reminded, but I feel like I'm fucking 21.
Oh yeah, I'm invincible still. Just ask me.
Yeah, it's like, nah, dude, I can fucking take that fucking what is that goddamn cut wheel? Like I don't need no guard on there. Like nah, now I'll put the fucking guard on. I got safety glasses on with a shield on that shit. Because they were like, yeah, it's just a little cut, and a little cut you in a fucking ER for like 5 hours getting fucking strap metal out your fucking eye from an exploded disc. So it's like, man. It's speaking of that, man. What was your in a pursuit of cars, man? What's been your most significant injury working on cars and shit?
I've actually been pretty fortunate, man. I mean, other than like catching a transmission and tweaking my back out pretty good or something like that. I've been really fortunate. Car racing, on the other hand, we're just not gonna. I had my Evo catch fire with me inside of it actually at the track, and that actually stopped me from racing for a while. Like it shook me. That was.
What kind of Evo was it?
It was my Evo 8 back in the States.
Okay.
Yeah, and I threw a rod hard out of the engine on a drag pull at the drag track and ended up hitting my methanol lines.
Ooh.
Yeah, and methanol burns hot.
Yeah. Did you have a fire extinguisher? The staff gets you and like extinguish it, or?
Yeah, no, I got out. Like I got the car stopped. I got out of the car okay, but like by the time I got out of the car, the passenger side of the car was lighting up.
Shit.
Yeah, because it followed like the wideband sensor wires all the way back into the cab, and it was shit, dude.
Yeah, man.
And then I got to sit there and watch. This is back in the day, but you sit there and watch your investment just torch itself. You know what I mean? Volk wheels, and back then GT37 turbo, like that was big money back in the day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. That's I've had two since I've been here in Japan. I got one on YouTube somewhere, but I had my R33, this fucking power steering line popped off and hit right on the turbo side. That shit's, hot manifold with hot power steering fluid. Something's going to ignite. And I put that shit out. Then you got that fucking white shit all over your engine bay that gets in everything.
Yeah.
And I've helped extinguish about like 2 fires from other people. Just we at the track, and I think that's one of those things, man. Again, combat shit. Like that car, I could see the fucking dude. He was rolling. Car was on fire. Big ass roost behind him of black smoke, and everybody just fucking looked at the dude. I'm like, what the fuck? Because the staff at the BC was just looking at the dude's car burn. I grabbed there's fire extinguishers this was on West Course, and they had fire extinguishers spaced out about every 30 foot, something like that. They're right against the wall, so you can just grab the fire extinguisher. So I grabbed that bitch, jumped over the wall. As I'm jumping over the wall, pull the pin out, get right there, and it's at the tank. So I mean, that shit could have exploded. And I think that's why because it was coming out the rear of the car. Gas tank's right there in S13 Sylvia, so it's right there. So I'm like, I don't know what kicked in, man. I could have got fucked up on that. That shit could have exploded right in my face. And I just went over there, and the whole team was kind of mean mugging me the whole time. And this happened on a Sunday. And then like that night at the ramen, they were just like, they give me like little slight bows and shit, like you earn my respect type shit or whatever the fuck. Cause I just ran over that bitch, man. Didn't know him. We weren't friends. And I just started putting it out. And then the staff followed me, and everybody, it was like 4 or 5 extinguishers on it. And to save his car. What happened is the fucking wheels ignited from the drifting. It was
really?
Yeah, it was a real hot day. And when that spark he was hitting the belt on the wheels, and it was generating a spark. And then maybe how the fucking S13, that stupid fucking O-ring doesn't seal all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe he filled up and it was not sealing, and that fuel was going over the tank down into the wheel well. And
could have been, yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely was coming from the right side. It's right where the filler's on the fuck, man. I should know what side is on filler, whatever. Filler's on the right side, something like that. But anyway, man. Long story short, man, is this reaction and stuff like that, and I've just been like that a while, man, and that's why speaking to a guy that is special forces, and going through selection stuff like that. For me, I was like, man, I think like mentally I've been through some shit, man. Being from Baltimore and been through different stuff, and how I even responded in Iraq while under fire, and being mortared, things like that. Sending up sit reps, sending up 9 lines, doing all that stuff like that. Just not a phase. Their training just kicks the fuck in, and you just operate. And I was pretty happy with myself to be able to do that under duress, man. Like, cause everybody think what the fuck they're gonna do until shit pops off, and then you're like,
people react differently, man.
Yeah, I'm talking about dudes. I seen. I'm like, man, this guy's fucking squared away. Like, even I'm like, I'm not intimidated. I'm like, man, fuck, man, this dude, he could run, he could jump. And we got there, and the shit blew up, and he just fucking froze, man. I'm like, oh, cool. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. And he was like, he changed after that situation with that happened and everything. But even Army, we had left seat, right seat with Army guys, and our first time, Army guys working with us was like their first time meeting Air Force people. So they had their mind, Air Force clowns, nerds, this, and this. Well, I can't build a computer, but I could also beat your ass too. And so it was like, and then we became really cool by the end of the mission, all the way up to TQ and back. We got hit by IED, and a guy, my driver, was like a 40-year-old dude, older guy, and real cool guy, man. But when the IED went off, man, that motherfucker looked at me, eyes wide as fuck. And I was like, go, get out the fucking kill zone. We're in the kill zone now. Go. Like, fucking move. And it was shocking. And this was fucking 2009. They sent them motherfuckers over there with M16 A2s, man. I'm like, dude, what are we doing here? Fucking muskets. Like, we're in the.
Don't worry about that. That little guy. Don't worry about that guy,
dude. And I was like, they was like, we put one on the receiver, don't chamber it, right? But we was like, yeah, dude, for the M16s, don't put shit in there, man. And the dude was like, and my guy was like, and I actually asked why. I was like, why not? And my Air Force guy had been in Afghanistan. He fucking took the fucking M16 and racked it, and it slapped the back of the butt. And that shit, I'm like, what the? And so imagine that shit sitting in the fucking truck and hits a bump like that, and it fucking discharges around inside of a fucking armored fucking M915. That shit gonna hit something. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, don't put mags in your shits, dude. Like, we don't trust your shit. Our M4s, we would fucking hang them on the inside of the truck. We had a hook right there, right, so we can just grab them and fucking get out egress. and their shit was just fucking so big they couldn't even fit the fucking M16. I mean, it was just so fucking big, dude. I was like, I don't remember you firing that weapon in basic. That shit's fucking long as fuck. We got the carbines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man,
it's long, man.
Yeah, dude. So on that, man, because you're getting into weapons, man, we already kind of beat customs up, man. What was like your favorite weapon system to fire, man? Your time in?
I was a huge fan of the 300 Win Mag, my sniper system.
Yeah.
Love that. The M24 was actually great. Also, the 308. You have to fire a lot of stuff though. Like MP5 SD is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a weird little gun, but I think one of the coolest things we did is we were up in Mongolia, and we actually did an AK-47 range with the Mongolians, and it was pretty wild to see.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, man. I don't know, I've gotten to shoot a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Have you done the Mark 19?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark 19s, done all the heavy weapons, javelins.
Shit, man, that's cool, dude.
Javelins were fun.
I seen the repercussions of Mark 19. We were up in fucking TQ, and it was like, yeah, that's why it is like, yeah, they don't allow people to fire that shit no more. Big, I'm like, how the fuck do you put holes like that in a fucking, and like, how the fuck do you put big ass holes like strafing some shit? And I was like, the dude showed me the video. I was like, oh fuck, dude, because like Air Force, like you shoot the M16, A2. And then and that's pretty much it. And then like the M4 is like by the time I got around, because I joined 2005, 2006. So by the time 2008, there were no more, there was all M4s and shit. So then I I got into BC3, and the cool thing about that was the young guys always a gun truck. So they put because the gun trucks that's the most fucking, you're fucking spinning a fucking turret, you're doing this, trying to get your hand caught in the fucking pin lock. If the fucking turret even spins, because some of them bitches are just training ones, so you got to turn that bitch with your torso and everything. And the other ones, they spin too much, and you fucking get your legs going and shit, and you spinning around and fucking we're in a fucking the Hummers. So they would put the young guys with a NCO as the car commander or whatever, put them in there, and it was kind of cool. So. Yeah, I got to do 50 cal stuff for the sim rounds, and actual I did about 4 full cases of 50 round live. And I'll warn you guys, man, training is training, man. But like, if your fucking ear protection falls out, don't be scared to put that shit back in, because I was. I didn't want to fuck, because I didn't want, they were it was training, man. So they were trying to it wasn't like a jovial fucking playful moment, because we got boxes of live rounds and shit like that. And so they were pretty like, hey man, don't fuck up, keep that shit pointing down line, because they're dealing with Air Force guys. Everybody's not really spun up on muzzle discipline, and my fucking shit popped out, and I shot the last I want to say last 200 rounds with no air pro in on a 50 cal, dude. That was the worst shit ever, bro. I was fucking shooting that bitch. I was shooting it like this. I was leaning my fucking head, and the fucking helmet is it. I can't tell, my Kevlar is blocking my ear from touching my fucking IBA. So like I muffled it a little bit, and he's like, dude, why's your head like that? I was like, dude, because my shit fell out. And he's like, yeah, dude, you could have just stopped and like put it back in. And we're not getting shot at right now and shit. Then we were at Fort Hood for that, man. That shit was the fucking coolest shit. And I was like, well, how do you aim? How do you get on target at a tank? He was like, you fucking point at the ground and follow your trace out, right? He's like, I was like, we got a sight. He's like, yeah, don't put your eye near the sight. Don't do that. And then I point that shit all the way down. He's like, nah, not that fucking close, dude. Like, put that shit 10 feet out and then trace out. So for me, it's only been the M4, the 50 cal, and the saw. Saw was fucking fun as fuck to shoot, man. That was like, I felt like fucking Rambo with the saw, dude. But the
the miniguns pretty fun.
Yeah. Okay, dude, we had a chance. That
tends to stop firefights.
Yeah, dude, we had so much shit we experienced over there that, I was fortunate to be in that rotation, where it was 2007 when it was like kind of reaching that point, and then like it started kind of coming down, as far as the level of threat, and it became like cool, kind of, I was there when they were doing all that bullshit about giving a road back to Iraq. We acknowledged it in the briefings, but they got no con where we were fucking hitting them out. We weren't playing that shit, man, because the TTPs changed, and they were like, hey man, let them fucking move in between your convoy. I'm like, fuck that, dude. No. So I pushed the dude off the road. I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, no, And I mean, it was a dude by any one. This particular guy, man, he fucking kept speeding. He like was speeding up. And it was one like dude in a car by one no kids or anything like that. And he kept fucking. And he's a white fucking Crown Vic. I'm like, I didn't think I would see a Crown Vic in Iraq, but here we go. And he kept fucking speeding up and like just going in between, like playing with us and shit. And we fuck. I nut like softly. He didn't roll over and die and shit like that. He just kind of went to the fucking
soft nudge.
Yeah, just a soft little. He did a little fucking tail wag and then went off the fucking thing into the berm, into the dirt and shit, man. So like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure, man. If you can share any short stories where, TTPs kind of and the rules of engagement change on the fly, or they try to do that fucking.
There was all sorts of stuff, man. I mean, when we were in Afghanistan, they tried telling us we couldn't do night raids anymore. Okay. We were supposed to break contact before returning fire, which we all just kind of laughed at.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the guys who don't understand, break contact was pretty much turn your fucking back and go the other way or some shit like that. If I'm correct, right? Yeah.
So, yeah, it was silly, man. But then we went up to the Iranian border, and the rules of engagement were totally different up there.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that was a little bit more of the Wild West.
Yeah, see, I heard. See, I got in 2007. Well, my first one was 2007. So they were telling those stories about how it was when they had the fucking sandbags on the floor, and because when I got there, we had up armored, the third level, fucking Dukes Rhinos. It was like a fucking, every truck was like a goddamn NASA ship, man, with all the bells and switches we had in there. We had the dagger was like, if you had a dagger, you were like the fucking man. I started with a plugger. And I kind of want to get a plugger, man, just to fucking have one, because I learned that bitch inside out programming, and I was like, how the fuck do I? And I still got my waypoints right downstairs, dude. I got my waypoints, everything, man, like fucking Romeo November Hotel, all that shit, man. I'll put that shit in there and like fucking find me, like how the fuck were we navigating in Iraq with just numbers? I couldn't believe that shit, man. So I told the dude in my doctor's meeting, because we started talking. I told him about the PTSD stuff. And towards the end, we just talked like, regular. I was like, dude, you could drop me off in Iraq and I could fucking go anywhere right now. I know all the, it's not a lot. It's just one fucking MSR and the ASR. But all the FOBs, I remember where all the FOBs and COBs were. And, it's kind of crazy to be able to navigate fucking Iraq. And there's dudes that can't even get around to LA and shit and everything. Right. So cool shit, man. But like the dagger was definitely cool. We had a lot of stuff there, and the cool thing I like to do when we got in Kuwait, we had to get escorted by because Kuwait AJ is where we were like based out of, but we get the missions to go up and go to Burying and all that shit, Salim and all that stuff like that. And when we get into fucking Kuwait, we had to get escorted by the Kuwaiti police, and they were fucking the laziest fucking dudes ever, bro. Like those dudes over there, they got a different kind of money over there where like, I don't really have to work, but I'm going to work. And they would fucking be talking on their cell phones. We trying to get back to AJ so we could download and do our shit, debrief, and fucking get back to fucking Gran Turismo, whatever the fuck we were doing. I had Gran Turismo over there,
nice.
Or go do whatever, man. And they were fucking just talking on their phone, dude. So we get in there and hit the fucking the Duke.
Hammer.
Yeah. And then you see everybody around you fucking like looking at their phones, and they don't know why, but we know why. Turn that shit on, like no fucking phones working for like however the radius, whatever it's classified. But yeah, no cell phones working for a good amount of distance around each truck. And then they fucking look at their phone, start shaking it, and you turn it off. They get back on their phone, and then we do that shit again. That shit's just like that's just like shit. It's like, why the fuck are we entertained by a dude? It's like the entertainment. I'm pretty sure, man, you guys found some ways to stay entertained, dude.
Oh, we had a farm out of our team house, dude.
Yeah.
My buddy used to try and have a headbutting contest with the goat.
Oh, fuck. I've seen some videos of that shit, man.
Yeah, that shit was funnier than shit. He'd put his OpsCore helmet on. And
oh, yeah. Dude.
Go in there with the goat, man.
Those shits, man. Fuck, bro. I've seen some videos of that. I seen a dude do it with no helmet, then he took it off and tried to bury, like fucking split his head.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't even like a big fucking goat. It was like I guess like a little teenage goat or whatever the fuck. It wasn't big, but man, shit like that, man. It was like then for me, being over there, and then getting spun up on like things, and like I fucking like read the Art of War or whatever and stuff like that. And it was just like I didn't understand. And then I didn't go to Afghan, but then that one base I forgot where like the fucking the fob was like, I forgot the fucking name of that fob, man, but it was like at the fucking bottom of the mountains, dude. I'm like, why the fuck would you put a fob right there on all three sides? And there was bases like that in Iraq, man, like where I can look on the road and see the dude fucking like he's fucking scouting us and shit. Then no shit, an hour later we get mortared. It's like the motherfucker was right there on the bike looking at us. I can see him with no fucking NVGs or nothing, sitting right on the fucking bridge. And I'm like, dude, something's gonna happen, man. And sure enough, fucking mortars come in, bam, 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 bam. And we're fucking eating. I'm eating like the Otis Spunkmeyer muffins because like that sponsored the fucking war. That and Rippets. So these
Rippets, man. It's all about Rippets.
Yeah. I was slamming. I don't even drink that shit, man, but I was slamming the fuck out of those to stay awake.
I found Rippets in a convenience store last time I was back in America.
Shit, like, what the
I had to buy one just to have it.
Dude, when I seen that shit, I was like, what? I thought it was like I thought that shit was like sponsored by OEF and some shit. So it's like, we go to the MCT, man, and get our fucking like, MREs, Rippets, and fucking honey buns, man. Like, that was the most unhealthiest shit ever, but we had to do what it do, man. But like, yeah, man, it was strategically, man. Some of those fobs were set up like it was just asking for motherfuckers to like, they could literally look right through the gate. There was a gate, and then there see a dude walking a goat just looking right through the fence. Like, there's no fucking black tarp on the gate. There's nothing. I'm like, man, this shit's wild.
Oh, yeah. We had one of the guards carry an ID right into the talk because someone just brought it in and turned it in, and he just carried it in there.
What the fuck?
We were like, bro, what are you doing? Just carry a bomb into the talk,
dude. That's crazy. Have you run into the dudes that I'm pretty sure you guys that they seen the program where if they alert you of or find an IED, they get the money.
Yep. Yeah. That's where this one came from. Someone turned in an IED.
Yeah, because he fucking put that shit there. Yeah, he was like, how the fuck did you know that was like right there? We had a guy speed up in front of us. We about to blow his ass away, and he's just like get out of his truck and he's going like this, and we're like, what? And this place was known for ambushes. This is going towards what the fuck is the one where I forgot the fucking fuck, dude. That's crazy. I'm brain dumping this shit, man. I think it's Al Assad.
Okay.
Al Assad is the one where they had the soccer stadium where they executed the dudes and shit. So that they was like, don't go over there and shit. They told us not to go over there and go to the stadium because we just want to fucking do whatever. I mean, we were at the tanks and shit, and that's how I got dumb as fuck, man. We were at fucking somewhere, and there was the tanks from the fucking golf shit all fucked up and blown up and shit over there, and someone went like, from the recent shit, and there's like, we go over there like opening up the fucking hatches and turrets and shit, and like, probably shouldn't have touched that shit. But he's like, yeah, did you go over there? It's like, all right, well, make sure we get back to AJ, put depleted uranium on your fucking health card because you definitely touched that shit. And I was like, cool, man. So that shit's on my VA shit. So burn pits, all that shit, dude. So,
burn pits and uranium.
Yeah. So he said,
we're healthy. Don't worry about it.
They didn't give a shit. I was like, fuck, I hope, And then my first kid was born. My first kid, so I didn't fucking know he was born. He's like cold, so he was like shaking and shit. I'm like, fuck, dude. The uranium is like,
it's like the uranium.
Yeah. Dude, so that shit. So, dude, I was like, man, I hope I didn't, because the real shit, the Agent Orange shit. A lot of dudes from Vietnam, they passed that shit on to their kids, man, and some kids were born with shit and everything. So but your kids all good and everything, as far as no?
Yeah, man. As far as I know, I mean, other than my daughter being clumsier than hell.
Oh yeah. It's probably the burn pits for sure, man.
She broke her arm not long ago, and I told her, I was like, hey, you don't cut yourself with your arms when you like fall out of trees or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So she now tripped over her foot. I was traveling, but mom called me and was like, yeah, she tripped and she pulled her arms into her body because she didn't want to catch herself. So she gave herself a concussion instead.
Oh, yeah.
Broke her fall with her head.
He said, you gotta fall on the shoulder, man. Like fall, like don't fall. It's like your head, like you fall on your chest, your head's right there to the ground. Your shoulder, you gotta kind of go to the side and everything. So it's like, yeah, that's just.
Oh, I mean, this military hospital is gonna start asking me questions.
Yeah,
you're always broken arm and concussion.
Yeah, and then man, then you say she's in carts, man. Like how was what did you feel, man, when she first started going fast for the first time? You want to like stop her?
Oh, dude, it was so awesome.
Yeah.
I actually finally got to go see one of her races in person.
Yeah.
And she's just dominating. I mean, the first couple of races, she was leading guys by over a second between first and second place,
Hell yeah.
which is a lot.
And they know she's a girl, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, her right helmet is painted with a pink owl on it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, she's out there. She's loving it. And then the last race of the day, because I do 4 races, she ended up getting second place by a tenth of a second. But they were out there rubbing. Like the little boy's cart was actually smashed in the front from where he hit her in the rear.
Shit.
Trying to take her on the inside. So
how many cc's? How many cc's is that cart?
So those are just under the Petco models. I'm not sure the cc's on them. They're fast though, man. Yeah. And then she'll be moving up to the full frame probably next year.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, you know, they got the carbon fiber like protectors on their ribs and everything because it's pretty rough out there. And she got some x-rays done and the doctor's like, what does your daughter do for sports? Because she has calcium built up on her ribs already.
Yeah.
Because and she's just slamming walls. Although we have had to have a talk about drifting.
Oh yeah.
She keeps trying to drift her cart.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, those Yokohama slicks aren't cheap, right?
Yeah. You're trying to get at least 2-3 races out of these and shit, man. So yeah, it is.
Right.
This car I got actually 4 carts here, and I was like, man, you know, everything's changing. I'm actually something I'm trying to tap into. I'm not sure. I looked up, I didn't find anything, but like doing the EV carts because they got kits for them where you just, you know, pretty much where the thing is. I forgot the carts I got, but I forgot the name of the engines, but they're the code on the engine I read is like a PK something, and I looked it up, and these fucking engines are like $2,000. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
And the dude, I got the carts for Salmon a piece. The dude was like, I don't know, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. I was down near Hiroshima, and I was like, and I seen them on Yahoo. I was like, hey man, fuck, they're right there. And I stopped by a little ass fucking like yard, picked up 2 carts. I got 2 carts of MSP. So one is gonna be mine with like a jigs or some shit in it, crazy. And then I'm gonna have them. I'm thinking about, you know, selling those engines, man, because I don't really want to use them, and just convert those to EV and just have them use those. And then of course I'll give them some gas powered stuff. But I was thinking about getting EVs because I don't gotta, you know, just charge the fucking battery and go.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, dude. You'll enjoy watching them race.
Yeah, because they already got the dirt bikes, man. Like just hearing him revving the air while he's jumping, I was like fucking in border of like excited, and then like fuck, dude. And then sure enough he fell, and I told my wife, I'm like, bro, they're gonna get fucked up either way, just running in the living room jumping off of shit, man. It's like they're kids.
Yeah.
So
they're boys.
Yeah, dude. So it's like my one boy already got scratched on his fucking eye, and another guy is just. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, you know, and this is nothing against guys there who want to shelter their kids. That's your prerogative, but I'm trying to build my kids to somewhat emulate, you know, some of the shit I've done and be okay with being like in a hard situation because we're not going to, and I know it sucks to even think about, we're not going to be there, you know, every step of the way, man. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure your son going to do basic, you know, when it got tough, he's like, oh, my fucking dad's a fucking special forces, dude. Let's fucking Roger up to this shit and get through it, man. Because when I went to basic,
he enjoys it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, dude. And I went to basic, and I didn't have anybody. I went, and they come from a family. So, dude, speaking of Skyline, dude, my motivation when I was running around the track, because you know, we had to do the little fucking 5 miles a morning and some shit. And I'm not a distance runner. I can run. I'm a sprinter. I play football and all that type of shit. I can sprint, distance running. I can make it happen and power through it, but I can't run for time. Like I can finish a 5 mile. 15 mile, 8 mile, whatever the fuck, but I can't do it in, 40 minutes or whatever. Right. That's just the way your body's built different. So speaking on that, man, that's why they actually, PJ, Sear, and other guys, I'm like, who the fuck are these dudes? They come there with their shit on, berets and everything, looking all, bigger than normal guys. And he's like, hey man, anybody here want to try out for Sear? Line up over here. And I was like, what the fuck is Sear? What is PJ? It was like Special Forces, blah, 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 the Air Force. And I was like, nah, dude. I was like, I can swim. But I was like, I know myself. And I was like, I know there's going to be some running involved. And then so the guys, they would come back. So if you qualify, sorry, but never qualify. I was probably saying the wrong terms. If you meet their minimums, they say, I'm like, so what happened? It's like they fucking went right there and they made them jump in the pool straight in the pool and do laps. No warm-ups, no nothing. You just fucking swim until we say stop. So naturally, the guys who stop go back to the flight. You're done.
Yep.
So they got a chance to. So the way it works, I think, if you completed it, then after you finish basic, then you get a chance to go and wash out the real shit.
Yep.
And then so some of those guys, they went there. I don't think any of my guys from my flight actually made it in, but they were pretty. I was like, oh, this guy could probably make it. And I was like, oh, that's some different shit, man. So no, one guy did. One of my guys did make it, as a PJ. I forgot. And,
nice.
Yeah, man. So, but I was like, then they came back and they were all fucking like, the one guy who made it and did it, he was like, he came back and he was just fucking glowing and shit and like, oh, dude, happy as fuck. And the other guys came back and they were just like morale fucked for the whole time they were there. And I mean, I guess you can at the basic, you can still go and
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You could.
But they thought that was it. They thought they were fucked. Like I can't go and go to selection and stuff like that. So, but no, man, I always, I mean, in the back of my mind, I think if I was a better runner or if I just put in the work to do it, I would have liked to have done special ops and everything. But again, I got to do some cool shit just being in convoys, man. So I think that made up for it for me, man. So I mean, for you, man, going back, would you change anything about your career, or are you pretty satisfied with how it went down?
No, I'm pretty satisfied with how it went down.
Yeah.
Would have minded making some more rank. I only made it up to E7, but that's because I have a tendency to tell people the truth. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. But no, I had a great career, man. I got to work in a ton of different countries. I mean, how many people can say that they've lived in Mongolia, Thailand? I worked over in England with the SAS guys for a bit.
Oh, dude, that'd be cool, man.
It was super cool. I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
So,
that's the biggest thing with the military, man. I think anybody out there, man, because you got your own branch or whatever, but I think the funnest shit for me was doing joint task force stuff, man, because you get to see when you got all these different branches, everybody except for the Coast Guard and the fucking TOC. You got the CBs doing their shit over there. Then like you got these other dudes walking around in like this gear. Like who the fuck are they? They just in shades and whatever, full beards. Like those are the secret guys. Leave them alone. Don't talk to them and everything. They're fucking on their shit. And then you see all these things. You could just see in the background all these moving parts, and you could just tell shit was going on and things. And you see like certain up armored cars that are all black. And then they got different gear. They got different weapons. They got more bells and whistles than you. It's like, who the fuck are those dudes, man? They look like they're doing some cool shit. And they were, what I mean? We just didn't know. I didn't, I knew, but you didn't know. It's just, hey, man, this is our mission. Stay over here. Don't go over there fucking asking that guy a bunch of questions and shit. We have KBR too. KBR would run convoys alongside of us. And them motherfuckers get the money they were getting paid and the money we were getting paid. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. We're doing the same mission.
Right.
And you're getting paid fucking $180K. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? So yeah, it was yeah. I thought about. Did you ever think about doing contracting after you got out or no?
I thought about it, man. Yeah. I don't know. Like for me, that chapter of my life is over.
Right.
I kind of want to leave it where it was.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense, man. I can understand a guy who didn't.
Yeah, I mean, especially like just going through like we talked about, going through a lot of the health stuff and mental health stuff.
Right. Yeah, that would be.
I realized how much I changed as a person over the years. So, I kind of want to just like, let's go ahead and close this chapter and put it away.
Yeah.
My son knows a little bit about what I did, and I don't know if I want my daughter to know a lot of what I did. You know what I mean?
Unless she's older as well, at least older.
Right.
Because that's again, man, it's crazy, dude. Like we're gonna ride dirt bikes, man, and it'll just be me and my boys, dude. Now, I don't know, like not being like sentimental and shit, man. It'll be fucking nice blue skies, man. You got a few F-16s, 35s flying over here doing their shit, and it's like, man, it's like I'm from Baltimore, dude. I'm from Baltimore City. I've been to Iraq 3 times, and now I'm here in northern Japan, man. It's quiet, fucking birds. It's just me and my boys, man, riding dirt bikes. It's like, how the fuck, what I mean? And the whole luck shit and all that stuff, and people like, luck is preparation and whatever the fuck they say about luck. I don't, personally believe in things just happening. Sometimes they just, they work out, but it's like, man, I didn't think fucking even 15 years ago that I'll be here with 2 boys, riding dirt bikes for them and shit. And I mean, I couldn't imagine running a company and doing that, man. So for you, man, do you ever get those moments like, holy fuck, dude? Like I've been,
yeah. I think you do. I mean, there's days at the shop too where I just sit back and I'm like, holy shit, I built this.
Yeah. 100%, dude. 100%. It sounds corny, but it's the real deal, dude. And it's like, it's the perfect.
You got to line up.
Yeah.
You got to line up cars that people would kill to own, just hanging out, getting work done, and it's a wild feeling.
And I'm pretty sure it happens to you more than me, honestly, because like your weather is different. Like me in the wintertime, dude, it's like, bro, I'm fucking numb, dude. Like I'm like just open the shop, get the fucking heater on. You know what I mean? I'm building the engine. I got to put the heater over there just to warm up the area to bring the fucking temperature up so I can build shit without it expanding or contracting. And then in the springtime, dude, it's like the springtime in Misawa in the summertime is so worth it, man, because it's really, I mean, I literally can leave. I mean, when I leave out here, I can literally hop on my 250 or 450 and the beach is right there, dude. It's right there.
Nice.
It's right over the thing. I can hear the fucking water moving all the time. And it's I just go to the beach sometimes. I ride out there for lunch, man. Just ride around. Like that shit is so fucking mind clearing. And you see the ocean, you can feel the fucking pressure. And then for me, I just realized how insignificant. Like I'm bitching about not being able to fucking buy like an adapter kit for this because I want to get this car running, my own shit. And I was like, well, I gotta sacrifice my own fun, which I've been doing for honestly the last 7 years. To you know what I mean, and I only gotta you already know how that shit is, man. You get to your build, it's like 5 years ago, dust all on it and shit.
Oh, that's where my RX-7's sitting right now.
Yeah, 100%, man. But yeah, dude, this is that realization moment. I was sitting in the shop, but what I was saying about the weather, I know your weather's nice. You got good sunsets and stuff like that, so it probably hits you more than me. But I'll be in the shop springtime, the weather's just not hot, not cold. And the sun's setting, and then you see like the fucking cars lined up outside. It's like, dude, it's like crazy. And then I'm not gonna lie, man. I do get, I gotten better with it, but I do get like kind of not jealous, man, but kind of like I'm like, man, I got to shop this, and I knew I worked on these fucking dudes' cars. They ain't even bought so much as a sticker from me, dude. And I'm like, but it's that choice, dude. And I'm talking about buddies. I built their cars for free. I was like, hey man, just buy me a sandwich at Wawa's, dude, and I'm cool. I'll wire your shit up and everything. And I was like, it's guys that I thought were friends, but I lost a lot of friends and buddies since I started this business, man. And
that happens. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Yeah. So, but
dude.
But it is what it is, man. That stuff, man. But hey, man, I do gotta get going. I don't want to hold you up and everything. I'm actually
you good.
And no shit. The reason I'm going, I gotta go. I gotta get my fucking hair done, man. I feel like a clown for you saying that. I gotta get a haircut, and then like the fucking if you're gonna run a mohawk, you gotta maintain that shit, man. So I gotta get the color done and everything. And she just booked me in for
You get your hair done. I'm gonna go to my buddy's club.
Oh yeah,
hang out in the infinity pool.
Don't drink too much, man.
Of course not.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But hey, man, brother, it's been like us. That's why we talked yesterday, and he was like, any talking points? Like, I don't, because we can go so many different ways. Of course, we relate because again, we've been in the Middle East. We've been in the Middle East. We've been military. We fucking got shops here, man. So there's a lot of. We can go so much deeper in things and talk for 12 hours. Easy, man. So we definitely could do this again, man. We got some stuff to promote later on and things like that, or just like I kind of want to get. Actually, I don't want to do that because I was like, it seemed like a fucking PTSD fest. But I just wanted. I had a buddy, man, recently that he was close to fucking, pulling the plug on life, man. And I was like, bro, I'm busy as fuck, dude. But you can fucking, like, you and a few other guys out there, or any of my guys like that. I'm like, dude, I ain't fucking too busy to take your phone call or come over and talk, because we've been through different shit. We've seen different things. Yeah. So I'm busy, and that's why I tell my customer, I'm busy doing what the fuck I want to do. That means riding dirt bikes. That means snowboarding. That means I'm busy. So people got this idea that we got to be busy on cars and shit. Like, yeah, well, we want to get paid, dude. So trust me, we're going to finish your shit. Like, we don't want to get fucking paid, bro. Come on. I want to get the money.
Right.
Like, that's stupid. So, but yeah, man. So I talk. So this is kind of my parting message to the vets out there, because it might be vet centric and everything. Talk to somebody, dude, because we all go through shit, and it might appear that everything is good to go, but people don't really understand what's going on in your mind and stuff like that. And I I acknowledge that I got problems with my. I try to control tempers and my wife and stuff like that, and little small shit will set me off. And then I got to go into the other room and calm down and I apologize to her and everything. The kids are looking at me like, what the fuck's wrong with this dude? He was just smiling 1 minute and now he's like screaming the next minute. And, you know what I mean?
I think I'm getting kicked out of the hotel.
Yeah, that's all good, man. But hey, man, again, Seth, man, good time for the chat and everything, man. Again, I'm here all the time and everything, man. So we talk frequently on air and everything. So again, guys are there. This is going to be Seth. And everything he's coming from undisclosed location in Philippines somewhere and everything. So you'll get with him if you want to get tuning done. One of the Gaijin tuning down in Okinawa. And like you said, man, you know, there's a waiting list for quality, man. There's a waiting list for quality. And you're talking about 8 months, top secret. And those guys are fucking 2-3 years to get in their fucking book. So it ain't that bad. You know what I mean? You ain't got to wait that long. But, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So again, guys, we got to look up Seth. Check him out on Instagram and Facebook, one of them Gaijin tuning. And you can contact him there. He'll take your message and do business. So don't waste his time, and you'll get the service done. So again, with me, you want to do some stuff with me, down on PinkuStyle.com. Get all the stuff done, and it's come correct. And when you get the bill done, again, just make sure that you understand that your car is 30 years old. So I can't just fucking upgrade your engine and leave this soggy ass bushings on there. You got to go through the whole car, man. If you want the full complete build and put that power down and not send 300 horsepower through a 30-year-old center shaft, center bearing, it's not going to work. Your drive shaft flopping around and shit like that. So you got to be cognizant of that stuff like that. And then you know, any questions like that, just get to me. I'm not UTI. I'm not DeVry. I'm not gonna do a fucking hold your hand type shit. But if there's, you know what I mean, yeah. And I'm pretty sure you can speak on that. That'd be a whole nother podcast. But yeah, the whole hey, you want to pick your brain, dude? Like, nah, FSM is on Google. Download that shit. Mm-hmm. Go read it. But again, Seth, man, thanks, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. And guys are there again.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, listening, all that stuff. It'll be Donnie signing off from South Japan. We'll see you guys later. Peace.